live in Birmingham, Alabama. I hope nobody's gonna.
Yo, shout out to B-Ham.
Yes, I live in Birmingham, Alabama. So, this is an all-black city.
That's where you at, Lost?
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
You at Birmingham too?
Yeah, I smell a collaboration coming on.
Oh my God, that is so crazy.
That's dope.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Bama Talk. This is Lost in Translation podcast. Tonight, my co-host is out, but I got a little something special for you tonight. So while you're here, make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe. You know what? I'm going to give y'all guys a little bit of a story. Normally, I'm on TikTok, and I'm always looking for different tips and tricks on how to make relationships work. So probably a few months back, man, I ran across somebody who was interesting, to say the least. She had a lot of good information. So I thought, you know what? I think you guys need to hear it. Over the last couple of months, I got a chance to know and listen to her and find out all about her. I'm going to go ahead and give you a little heads up. Today, we'll have an incredible guest who is about to take our conversation of intimacy, self-care, and confidence to the next level. She's an internationally recognized intimacy coach, certified sexual health and wellness educator, and has been named among the top intimacy coaches in the world. With a deep passion and for empowering women, she helps her clients build confidence, improve self-care, and strengthen intimacy in their relationships. Her unique approach combines science, education, to create a deeper understanding of the body, enhance communication, and close the pleasure gap, helping individuals and couples achieve true intimacy. Get ready for an eye-open conversation filled with expert insights, practical advice, and a whole lot of fun. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the one and only Shereytah Reed.
Come on inside and get yourself something cool.
Hey. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Miss Reed, how are you? I think you got your microphone on mute, darling. You're on mute.
Can you hear me
Good
okay?
evening.
I don't hear
Yes, I
anything.
can. Welcome back. How are you this evening? I can
I
hear
can't
you.
hear you at all. I hear nothing.
Now, why is that? Can you hear me now? Check your settings.
I don't know why. I can't hear anything you're saying right now. I can see that you're talking, but I can't hear anything. But you can hear me. So that's odd. But I can't hear anything now.
Give me a second.
Okay, hold on. Check my settings. Okay, hold
Yes.
on. My audio is on.
Mm-hmm.
Camera's on.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
Yeah. Is that it? Unless you got your headphones.
Okay. Now?
Yeah, I
Any
can hear you.
sound?
Can you hear me?
No?
I
Okay,
can hear
something's going
you.
on with my headset then. All right.
Your headset is fine. The
Yes, no?
question is, I can hear you. The question is, can you
Okay,
hear
my
me?
apologies. Let's get this back together. We were good a minute ago. Okay, I'm still not getting any audio. That's
Wait a
super
minute.
weird. I'm not hearing anything from you.
I'm gonna have you check the
Insert
back.
earpiece. Let's switch to USB audio.
There we go.
Okay. Are you hearing? You're hearing me okay? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, but I can't hear you. All right. And I didn't change anything, so this is weird. Okay. Let's see if that is working. Nope, I still got no audio from you. And
You still can't hear? You know what?
that's
Hold on a second. That
oh,
might be
oh,
me. Wait a minute. Is that it?
I can hear you, but now not through the headset. So that's weird. Hold on. Let me see if I can stay doing what you're doing. Let me flip this back.
There you go.
Good. Say something real
Yeah.
quick.
Can you hear me now? Is that better?
Okay, now I heard you for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, I'm still here. It still should be working. It should be straight. Is that it? You
That's
know what?
weird. Okay. We were good a second.
Hold on a second. Is that me? Is that you?
When I heard you fine in backstage, but when I put you in speakerphone mode, I can hear you, but my headset doesn't work. So
Okay.
it's my mic. If my mic is okay, we're good. I'll just take these off. I can
Hold
hear
on a
you
second.
fine through the device though. I'm hearing you
I'm trying
through
to see.
the screen now versus the
Now the
headset.
thing about it is I can hear you.
Yeah, you can hear me, but so I don't know, it's got to be on my end. I'm gonna just unplug the headset. We just won't use the headset because I can hear you
There
just
you
fine.
go.
As long as you can hear me clear on the
Yeah.
condenser mic, then we're fine.
Oh yeah, that's
We'll
even
just
better.
eliminate them. They were working perfectly fine when we were backstage, and I don't know what happened when we muted and then reconnected, and it took your audio away from me. So
Man, I just gave you
all is
this
well.
fantastic introduction. You couldn't even hear it. That's messed up.
Yeah, I heard none of that. I just saw that you were talking. I wish I could have heard it. I guess I'll just have to watch the playback.
Indeed. It's all good. Listen, let the people know who you are. Give yourself a brief introduction and
Sure, no problem. I am Shereytah, aka Intimacy Bay, intimacy and pleasure coach, certified sexual health and wellness educator. I'm also a relationship enhancement consultant. And as I dub myself, I'm the lingerie lady. So I do help everybody, singles and couples alike, in areas of intimacy, sexual health and wellness, and self-care. So that's afforded me the wonderful, unique opportunity to get a sneak peek into people's lives and, give them some safety, security in those areas so they can be transparent and get some improvement in, daily living, because a lot of times our daily living, our stress levels, our mental health, our level of self-care affects everything, how we care for ourselves and also how we, interact with other people, especially our partners. So when we get into relationships and marriage and things like that, your level of self-care is going to be that foundation. We want to make sure that everybody is taking care of self first, and then, able to then properly care for and interact with, with the partner for better, healthier relationships.
Awesome. Awesome. As you know, we have an issue in the love department from time to time these days. So what we want to
Correct.
do is we want to give people an opportunity. When y'all get back together, at least you'll have some knowledge and some information. And also for the couples who are already together, let me ask you a question. How did you get into your line of work? Just out of curiosity.
I was a client first. At the time I was married, and I was dibbling down into the self-care department. I just loved all the, bath body things that were, addressing, just my day-to-day, needs, simple things. And then I just kind of saw I was like, oh, there's some kind of different things here that are more for, the couples. And I come from a super religious, super Christian conservative background. So it was a really different space for me. So it was eye-opening to because I had to kind of think outside of the box, and it was a little uncomfortable, but it was so comfortable for me as a woman, and it was a gentle approach, and the way the packaging and the way it was delivered was so inviting, and it allowed me to really connect more with a more intimate side. And I was like, oh, this could be great. And so I dove into it. I learned a lot, and before I knew it, I had become a consultant, just to kind of see what was going on, and that catapulted, and within a year I had become the number one coach in the state of Texas. And
That's right.
it kind of went that way. But I became a coach during COVID, and it was a really weird thing because, like I said, I came from a super conservative background, and so that was a hard place for me to announce this is what I'm doing now, because I was a praise team leader, children's ministry director, Bible study leader, Sunday school teacher, youth mentor. I was all of these things, all at the same time for so many people. And that's what they knew me for. So it was a really, kind of weird space to be in, but it was something that I had learned had been helpful for me. And so once I announced it, it was really, really hard. And I got such a wonderful response, way better than I had thought, from my community, who I thought was going to be really like weirded out and judgmental. There was a few, the ones that I really, really just knew that was fine. But I found that I was able to help a lot of the couples actually in my church who were going through some intimacy issues with their partners. Some were health related, some were just communication based. And once they saw that, okay, this is someone that I already trust. I know she has a good heart, good spirit, good intention, and she's also on this side. And this is kind of weird for us to share this with someone, but so there was already established trust and relationship, and they started sharing a lot of things with me privately that they had never told anybody. And a lot of the couples in my church were really, really grateful to have me as that that secret little safe space. And once I saw how beneficial that was, I was like, okay, this is great. This is needed. This is missing. And I saw, like I said, I saw it help me. Number one, I saw how it helped the people closest to me. And I just knew this is very much a missing piece of the puzzle for not just say the Christian community or, the religious community, but just people in general, and especially the Black community, because a lot of times we'll see some of our favorite couples, whether it's church or not, even celebrities, our favorite couples, and we just like, oh, they are goals, right? And then we're like, oh, they're getting divorced, and we just like, okay, there was a dagger to the heart. If y'all can't make it, then wait a minute, then neither can we. It's like, and you see
Right.
that, and a lot of times you find out that there was some deeper issues, and some of that stuff could have been resolved had it been addressed maybe at a certain point, and maybe not that far gone, or they had that person. And so my goal was, let me be the person that I wish someone had been for me, as a woman, as a Christian woman, number two, and then as a just as a married woman, to make sure that I have that awareness, and that I'm able to just kind of have that knowledge base, and that I'm comfortable. I own my level of pleasure and sexuality and everything, and to be okay with that, because a lot of times that is where the Achilles heel is. A lot of times in Christian marriages is being exploratory, and it kind of pigeonholes a lot of people, because they feel weird about doing this, that, and the third, because it's just how it goes. It's ingrained in us. Don't do this, don't do that. You can only do this so far. Anything else is bad, bad, bad. Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And then so no one knows what they're doing, and so you really don't get that fulfillment with your partner. So when I saw that in my first year, actually I want to say first 6 months, it just something that just like stuck with me, and I was like, I have to do this. I have to do this, because it's so helpful and it's so beneficial. And I saw that I really was impacting some lives, that some of the people that were closest to me. And I'm like, if I can do this for someone that's close to me, I can do this for anybody. There's another couple out there that is going through the same things that I went through, or that my friends went through. And if I can just impact them, if I can impact one, I can impact five. I can impact five, I can impact 10, because this is really, really important. And so that was kind of my journey into the first year. And I was, I just became really passionate about it, and it took off. It took off like a train. And it's been 5.5 years, and I'm still here. So
That is fantastic. Listen, you talked about church, you know what I mean? And from time to time, there's this taboo where we just don't talk about that in church. And I think the response that you received from your clients is a testament to that. You know what I'm saying? Because not always people feel comfortable talking about that in church. It's like, they know about the be fruitful and multiply, but can you stay together? We have a hard time staying together. You know what I'm saying? So I love the fact that when you're on at night, you're actually having conversations and helping people and walking them through that. Sometimes the relationships and sexual health is one of those things that has and takes on different forms. Of course, there's the mental, and also there's the physical. And let's speak to the mental portion of it as well, like performance anxiety, or different taboos that sometimes women may have. They may feel like, sex is nasty. My mama told me, you better not never do that again, and all this other stuff.
So much of that is not even just a Christian thing. A lot of that is just societal. It's just, women are kind of, it's kind of mentally beaten into us. Just don't do it. That's bad. Good girls don't do this. Good girls don't do that. Don't get pregnant. Don't get pregnant. Don't get pregnant. Don't do this. Don't do that. And that is what that's the energy that we get. Guys get celebrated for doing this, that, and the third, and how many notches you have on your belt, and we're looked at as as bad and negative. We got a scarlet letter on us if they find out we kissed somebody or slept with somebody or whatever, or even had two partners. Y'all can have 10, we can have 2. We're going to get that negative stigma associated with us. So in a sense, it's as if actual pleasure and enjoying sex is not associated with the female in the relationship, that the pleasure is more so for the man. So a lot of women don't even get to dive into that side of knowing this is what I like, because they're holding back, because they feel like they're not even, it's been given such a nasty tag, like label on it, so that even once, okay, now you're married, right? And they're like, okay, like you said, go be fruitful, multiply, go please your husband. And they're like, okay, how? I don't know what's going on here. And so,
Right.
and it's more so pleasing your partner and not really knowing that, pleasure is for me too. A lot of women do not know what they like. Believe it or not, I'm gonna tell you this, okay? 1 in 10 women, and there's actually probably more. It's just not. This is reported. 1 in 10 women has never had an orgasm, and I've had clients well into their 40s and 50s who've never had one in their life.
Wow.
Until they come across me, and so we start talking about
Get
it.
them started, huh?
So much of intimacy is mental because the brain is the biggest sex organ. It is nothing below the waist. Okay. The brain is scientifically the biggest sex organ. And so that's where those traumas, that's where those, subconscious messages are stored. That's where a lot of times, when you talk about sexual assault and things like that, those things are stored there in the brain. And so it makes it difficult for a person in general, male or female, to fully be present and engage in intimacy enough for those proper signals to reach the other parts of the body so that you can even respond properly. So performance anxiety has some roots. And a lot of times when it comes to women in the relationship, even if let's say there's no trauma per se, those messages where sex has such a negative connotation associated with it, that can be a level of trauma as well. And it's just not seen that way. And so in the relationship, the male partner may feel like she's not giving me what I want. And she's not doing it often and she's not into it. And so he may feel really frustrated when she's just trying to combat what has been in like tattooed on her brain, and there's no debriefing that happens when you've been in that space. You've been taught these things for years and years and years. Subconsciously is there. And now you're trying to really be in that space, enjoy it, give, and also receive. And it makes it difficult for a lot of people and women in particular. And in that where it's negative and it's difficult to relax. If the brain is not fully, engaged, the body doesn't relax. The body doesn't relax. Nerve impulses cannot fire. Blood flow doesn't happen at its max. Lubrication doesn't happen at its max. And she can kind of feel like, hey, I'm just here until it's over. Let's just kind of get to it. And the fullness of it to really, really engage in the act and in the moment, it just doesn't happen. So she may never get, for some women, they may never get, that fullness of the experience and the pleasure simply because they don't know how. They don't know how because they've never let themselves go enough to do that. And a lot of times that is due to, what they've been fed and what they've been taught. And so I always say, I am the debrief. If you've never been debriefed, welcome. I am welcome and welcome to class. I am the debrief. After you've been through, the trauma in war and you have to unpack it all. Okay, let's unpack it all and let me give you something new. Let me give you some different tools, because without those, you're going to stay in the same space. And a lot of women have, been in marriages where they're just like, I never enjoyed anything. I never enjoyed anything. And it's 50-50. Sometimes the partner never really took the time to explore the body and really, put them in a position to relax and, make it feel like it was about them equally instead of just their own pleasure. But sometimes it is about those anxieties where they're just like, I don't really enjoy any of this. So much of it is mental. So much of it is mental.
You know what? Here's the thing. I almost think that we send people into marriages half prepared. You know what I mean?
I
We'll send
agree.
them through marriage counseling, but we won't send them through sexual health counseling. You know what I mean? And think about it. We rarely talk about that in church. So where can a person get that information? So I'm glad you spoke to the mental portion of it, as far as having the ability to make sure that you break down those barriers so you can really enjoy your partner. Now,
Mhm.
also there's some physical issues as well too. Can you speak to a little bit of that? Because sometimes physical issues may, if you're not in good health, may hinder your pleasure with
Mhm.
your partner. Could you speak to a little bit about that?
Sure. And health is such a big player that people just don't connect the dots on. But even from, like I said, from the other part, from the anxieties and things like that, Yeah. Also, when you were saying like, how can they get the information? And like, this is why I'm on at nighttime so much. And I spend hours and hours and hours because I just don't know who's going to come across me. And I just kind of took a personal um, goal to set I can't be live for 1 or 2 hours like the average business owner / content creator. I got to be there because one person could come across me scrolling at night, just I don't know, they're bored or whatever, and I can make an impact there. So it's such a it's such a hard thing to, just to say, oh, just go here and here, because it just doesn't exist on a grand scale. And so my goal every day is to just show up and be effective. And I just don't know what seed I'm going to plant or who I'm going to touch. And no, I'm not the only intimacy coach in the world. But I do know that technology is what it is, and social media is just kind of where we are. It's the way of the world. And if I can reach more people that way and I can do my part, then hey, come on, because you can definitely learn all those things hanging out with me. So when it comes to the sexual health side, so many health issues that people have, especially in the Black community, we have no idea or associated with pleasure, namely high blood pressure, diabetes, for women, endometriosis, PCOS. I have several clients who also have multiple sclerosis, and they don't feel very much, right? Men
Right.
and women. And then you have, the other things. You have anxiety and depression. So roughly about 25% or more, minimum 25% of Americans are on some type of anxiety medication. Anxiety medication is one of the number one killers of libido.
Wow.
So you're taking something that's, how it is. It has all these side effects. It's like it does this, but you may also experience yada yada, and they give you the rundown.
Right.
And intimacy issues is one a lot of times that gets completely missed, and so depression meds can do that as well. Excuse me. Depression meds can do that as well, and they can disrupt just desire. And so you may have that on the forefront. You throw in a couple of health issues, diabetes. This is high in our community. High blood pressure is high in our community, and those are related to levels of blood flow. And the lifeline to pleasure and arousal and sensation is blood flow, because blood carries oxygen. I am a science buff. I had always a goal of being a doctor when I was a kid. It was always my thing, and I've since changed it to counseling and therapy and life coaching.
Right.
So those are my newer goals. But science is always at the basis of what I do. So I'm never going to tell you anything without the the hardcore science. So blood flow carries oxygen to every part of the body, to the tissues, to the nerves, and every nerve in your body requires oxygen in order to fire, to send those nerve impulses out. And for women have over 10,000 pleasure nerves on the clitoris by itself. Men have 4,000 total below the waist. Women have 10,000. High levels of nerve,
Right.
density there, compacted in a tiny space that exists nowhere else on the body, male or female. And when you have a reduction in blood flow from high blood pressure, diabetes, and things like that, there's nothing, there's no sensation there. There's no feeling there. And so sometimes those disruptions in the bedroom can happen due to some health issues. Even for men, it happens the same way, where performance can be affected, where, they may feel like, I'm not setting attention like I used to, or I can't last as long as I used to. And they have high blood pressure and diabetes. So when they come to me saying, well, hey, I have issue in this area, what do you have? They really want a quick fix. And I'm like, well, I have questions. I'm gonna dig into your health. And they're like, why? Why are you asking me that? I'm like, do you have high blood pressure, diabetes? And I'm like, well, yeah, I have both. Okay, let's start there. Let's
Right.
start there. Because if you feel like you have good communication with your partner, but things are just not moving, it's not popping in the bedroom, a lot of times it is related to a health issue. And maybe, like I said, it could be mental health with those stressors and those anxieties, or those traumas, or it could absolutely just be a body, a health issue that is causing a reduction in blood flow. And so whatever your body needs for regular health, your body needs for sexual health. So the same way you need a lot of blood flow to properly, let your body and all the other organs operate, below the waist works exactly the same. So whatever you need here, you need here. You have a reduction in blood flow for the heart and up here. You're going to have a reduction in blood flow below the waist. So it's all connected. So I have a lot of clients, they may neglect what their doctor says as far as diet, exercise, drinking water, all the things. And they're like, yeah, things not working. I'm like, so how's your diet? Let's talk about that. And they're like, oh, I just kind of eat whatever. Do you exercise? Okay. We're getting somewhere. And so and like I said, you don't know what you don't know. So many regular common health issues that we all have had or, are common in our families, and you have a family history of it, can affect your intimate life. It can cause a whole lot of frustrations. And so when you don't get those addressed, because like I said, you don't know what you don't know. And many of your general health, your general, like medical practitioners, they may not even know that, especially if you don't share it with them. But sometimes they don't even have the solutions, because they know what they know. They're going to give you medication for this and that and the third. And they come to me and they're like, I learned more from you in 5 minutes than by than I learned from my primary care physician. I did not know that. So we're going to talk diet. We're going to talk about how important exercise is for just an erection, how important drinking water and good sleep is for desire. Testosterone is the number one driver for desire for men and for women. Testosterone manufactures when you sleep. If you're not sleeping well, guess what's going to be affected? Your ability to perform the next day. Right. And if you're consistently not having good sleep, overly stressed and all those things, it just snowballs. And it can affect how you're performing or your level of desire in general on top of that. So those things have helped a lot of people just, in my space, bridge the gap and get some better daily living practices going, because it has now trickled over into the bedroom where they're having some issues and they're like, oh, okay, didn't know that. I'm just thinking, I don't want to listen to my doctor because he told me to stop eating this, XYZ. I just didn't want to do that. And now I'm not able to sense things, or for a minute, like I can't please my partner like I used to. I'm feeling, that's a hit to, the ego. For women, the fact that she's not really feeling very much, she's may just decide, my libido's, I'm not really getting anything out of this, kind of waste of time. She's not interested. So now you have the breakdown of the relationship where one or both, especially once you hit certain ages, are having these health issues. You're having these breakdowns with the health, with the body. There's not much happening, and now they're just kind of looking at each other. And then it kind of fizzles out, and you see two really, really good people just kind of go their separate ways, not really knowing what the roots of those things are, so they can dive into those. Let's get to the foundation. Let's get to the roots. And we can work at the roots, then everything else will flow. So like I said, your level of sleep matters, how much you exercise matters, how much water you're drinking matters, what you're eating, not just eating healthy. There's even certain foods that are help to dilate the blood vessels to get more blood flow going and help to increase blood flow. There are certain ones that I recommend high in zinc, like oysters. Oysters has fascinated so many of my clients. I'm like, the raw, the better. If you love oysters, go have a dozen. And then, especially for the men, a dozen oysters, it gives you 600% of your daily required amount of zinc into the body. That extra 500% goes down south, and you're like, oh, all right, we have liftoff.
Wait a minute.
They're like, So, and I always tell them, if there's nothing that's a quick fix, you have to be consistent, do all the things, keep the exercise going, be active. Being active is not just something that people just tell you should exercise. They don't realize how important exercise is, because it's keeping the heart flow. It's keeping, the heart pumping, and their blood flow is maximizing. You're, eating certain things that are helping to relax those blood vessels. You got more blood rushing all through the body. It's going to populate below the waist. And a lot of those things can help combat things like erectile dysfunction, low testosterone, low sensation, and especially high blood pressure and diabetes. So they're so important. And a lot of that, like I said, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So I'm here to connect all the dots. So there you have it.
That's what's up. Listen, I think guys sometimes they get busy working all the time and they forget to take care of themselves. And could you speak to men's health? The other day I was watching Shannon Sharp, and he had this little pills. And man, I popped one of these pills, man, I'm good to go. Could you tell us a little bit about why men should avoid stuff like that and just rely on natural means of taking care of themselves?
Well, and that's the thing. So many of those are quick fixes. There are some that are fine. I know people ask me about, well, what about that little blue pill? That one's is one that I can vouch for. I say is okay.
Right.
The problem is that a lot of people will depend on that and that only, and like they just won't make the necessary dietary or day-to-day or daily living changes, I'll say, to help, support that. It's not everybody, like we're in a microwave society. Everybody wants a quick fix. They want to fix, they want to fix now. How quickly can I get this done? So it doesn't interrupt what I want to do. So it does take a level of change and self-discipline, because they're like, this is what I do. This is my life. I'm doing what I'm doing. Now things are changing. What you got? That's fast. And I'm like, no, that's not how, that's not the most effective way. And it's only a matter of time before, things are going to keep kind of snowballing, and that's not what you want to do. You do want to make some better like choices and changes. Like I said, I'll talk about it again with the testosterone, and that's the thing that most people do not know, how important testosterone is. So as men, you guys produce y'all know this, an overwhelming amount of testosterone in the body in comparison to women. Women also produce testosterone, but it's in a much, much smaller amount. It's what gives us our libido and our sexual drive. Okay. And it is manufactured when you go to bed, when you sleep. So a good 6 hours is kind of the minimum that your body needs to fully make and manufacture enough testosterone for it to be usable for the next day. So, oh my guys, you working? I get it. I get it. You out there, you're doing your thing 8, 10, 12 hours a day. You're super stressed. You're not getting enough sleep. You're doing all the things. That's actually going to be detrimental, because testosterone is also responsible for energy. So then you think about it. The next day, what are you doing? You got coffee, you got energy drinks, you got B12 shots, you're doing all these things, and you're just kind of putting a Band-Aid on something, when in actuality, we need to start looking at your own self-care. Self-care is not just a woman thing. Self-care is a people thing. And men, you guys typically take the back seat on that. And some would like some self-care time, some mental health time. And some just won't feel like that's not allowed. Like that's a wimpy approach. Like, no, we're supposed to rub some dirt on it, keep going, keep it moving. We got to get things done. And that's it. That level of rest and relaxation. I love when I see guys like go to the nail shop, like get their feet done, get pedicures.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Go just do something you love. If you like to go to the gun range, if that's what gives you some mental like peace and clarity, and you can check out for something, go take a walk, whatever that is for you. Those things are important because they're allowing those stressors to kind of lead, and that can help to regulate your sleep wake cycle. So when you get that minimum 6 hours of sleep, you're getting the full manufacturing of that testosterone. So for men, you guys, once you first are coming out of sleep, you're going like from REM sleep, your body releases its first spike of testosterone. And I always tell you, that's where morning wood comes from. That's why you wake up and you're like, what is going on here? It's just cool. It shows up. I didn't do anything. Wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't even awake, but here it is. So the moment you're coming out of that deep, deep sleep, and you're in that transition where you're moving around, you feel like you're awake, but you're not fully awake and aware, your body releases the biggest spike of testosterone for the day. And your body responds accordingly. Okay. And so then y'all get releases and spikes throughout the day in spurts, and it tapers off towards the end of the day. So your body makes enough for you to have energy and performance. So when you shortchange yourself, you know how it is, you can sleep, but you're not actually resting. You're laying there, but you're thinking about what you got to do.
Other stuff.
You got to get up. I got this on my schedule. So your brain is still active and still engaged. You're getting those hours of sleep, but you're not really resting and letting that body completely let go. So the amount that you need and for your body to use it is insufficient, and that can affect drive, of course, energy, and performance. And those are big things. Those are big things. So when I talk testosterone, a lot of women were like, oh, that's not for me. Yes, testosterone is a big thing for us as well. And so stress levels can also affect that, especially for women. Our brains are like super highways, and so we're multitasking, we're doing all these things, whether we work in the home, out the home, or doing all, everything. We're taking kids to this practice and picking up, grandbabies, nieces, nephews, children, doesn't matter what it is, right? And so stress releases cortisol into the body. And cortisol is the enemy of testosterone. So when cortisol shows up, testosterone reduces, and they trade places like this. So it's like, as I say, when somebody invites you over, to their house with an event, you say, who all over there? And they tell
Yeah.
you cortisol coming, you never, I'm not showing up. That's what happens with testosterone. It's like, I don't never, I'm not going to be, you can count me out. Right. So testosterone levels are going to reduce as cortisol shows up. So cortisol is your stress hormone. Testosterone is your drive hormone and energy. So they're going to trade places. So the more stressed we are, men and women, but just talking to the women in particular, self-care, that's why self-care is so important. The more stressed we are, that can lower the little bit of testosterone that our body does make. And that right there can put your libido, ladies, in the basement. We already are working with a smaller amount in comparison to men. So with that, we can totally lose our drive and just say, oh, well, it's because I'm tired, because I'm not in the mood. And remember, testosterone creates energy. So guess what? There's a chemical process that's happening. It's not that you're just tired. Yes, mentally you are tired, but the stress levels are reducing the amount of testosterone that you have. So you're actually chemically, like biologically tired because of the lower testosterone amount that's present in your body. And then of course you had that high, stress level and, things like that with the cortisol. So they've replaced each other, right? They've switched places. And so now the testosterone has dropped. You're also not in the mood. So your drive is like, you're like, I'm not thinking about that. We got things to do. I got to cook dinner. We got to clean up. I got laundry to do. The kids have homework. We have all these things to do. I'm tired. I want to clean up and I want to go to bed and I have to go to work in the morning. I am not interested, sir. Whatever you talking about over there on the other side of the bed. I don't want, and so those chemical processes that happen for men and women are very, very real, and they happen every single day. We just don't know it, right? And we just attribute it to emotional. And so, in response, fellas, you may say, she's not concerned about my needs. Like, she's not paying me any attention. Now, I don't want nobody else. And then it starts that I can get this somewhere else, and I'm here. So
Mhm.
it starts to implant those thoughts there, and you allow those to creep in because there's no understanding of what's really happening chemically inside of the body. And for women, we can feel like, that's all you thinking about. Like, that's all you thinking about. Listen, I'm tired and I just feel like you're not mindful of me and respecting the fact that I had a really rough day and I'm really, really exhausted. I just want to go to sleep. So you see, you have some very valid points on both sides.
Absolutely.
And then even for the men, let's say there's a reduction in performance because of your high stress levels and lack of sleep and things like that. And that can cause performance anxiety because now you're self-conscious because you're just like, I don't really know what's going on. So I've had couples where the male completely avoided intimacy, completely avoided sex altogether because they knew they couldn't perform anymore. And she's like, what is going on? So she's like, now she's got the thoughts. Is he getting it somewhere else? Because why is he not getting excited about me anymore? Why is he not initiating anymore? I know him. I know his norm. What's happening here? Something is going on. Is it me? Is it my body? Is something wrong? So the women will start looking at ourselves. What's wrong with me? We're looking in the mirror. We're trying to do all the different things, thinking that it's a physical attraction thing because your partner is no longer physically responding to you. And that's a very valid feeling because the communication is not happening, right? So when
Right.
you have a breakdown in communication, because neither one of you really understand what's going on, and sometimes the avoidance just sets in because one of you is not interested because your body is not really doing what it it needs to do or it used to do. And therein lies how a lot of relationships can start to deteriorate. And it just, so sometimes it begins with the conversation and just a little bit of knowledge. So hey, you got to hang out with me. Y'all got to hang out with me. You'll learn a lot that's eye-opening, and you'll be able to kind of see yourself sometimes like, oh, you know what, I see that. I've had people look at their even past relationships, like they're divorced now, and they're like, you know what, my wife, she did do that. And now they can give her some grace, even though they're not in that space anymore. They're not married anymore. It kind of heals something when you know what, it wasn't me. I didn't do anything wrong. She was going through menopause, and menopause messes with ladies' tightness and lubrication, that's our biggest thing. For
Right.
men, of course, is being, I got to perform, I got to last long, I got to be firm, I got to make sure she's enjoying herself. For women, it's our ability to lubricate, have all the moisture and do all the things, right? And that snapback. So when you have those two big things disappear for one or the other, it's like, never mind. I don't think I want to do that. Right. And so when you can see your partner current or past, you can see them differently and say, you know what, there's something going on. I didn't know, maybe they didn't even know. It kind of changes the game. And if it's a current relationship, yeah, that's something you can look into and you can repair. And for those past relationships, it's giving people, just a sense of peace to say, you know what, wow, maybe they didn't feel that way about me that I thought. That was my assumption. And we didn't communicate about it. So when you have limited knowledge, you only know what you know. When you have limited knowledge and not a space to normalize those conversations about intimacy, sexual health, and pleasure, you're not equipped to even know that. You can't, how can you be held responsible for that when this is not something that is globally done, where it's talked about here, there, and everywhere in such an educational, type of way. So this is why I do what I do, because there's so many people. I'm like, wait, just let me fix it. If I could just talk to y'all for like 30 minutes and I just want you to get a better understanding of what is happening, chemically first. And let's start there. We can dive into the emotional side and the mental side. We can tap into all of that, but let's just get a better understanding of how the body works, what's happening with both, because you may be able to address some of these things that are related sometimes just directly to health, sometimes to age, and just normal, changes in the body. We all get older and things don't do the same things that they used to once you hit the 40s and the 50s, it just kind of is
Right.
what it is. It is what it is.
Right. Quick question for you. I think well, you spoke to communication earlier, and I think that's one of the things we probably need to improve on. I remember one night you were talking to a lady about love languages and how people actually can be reached with other. Could you speak to a little bit about that and how we communicate
So,
and how we effectively communicate each other instead of blaming each other and making the
yes.
other person feel bad?
So love languages is a special, is like a near dear thing to my heart, because I learned a lot about myself once I really started studying and diving into love languages. It explains so much of who I was and why I responded the way I responded in relationships, why I needed what I needed, or why I felt like I needed what I needed, and why, like where that came from. And so love languages is basically how you give and recognize love, care, consideration. So it's just simple, thoughtfulness, right? That if somebody was on your mind, or you let them know that I value you, right? So you when you're in a relationship with someone, you do put a value on them, and they're on your mind, and that's expressed, in how, we act and we behave and we interact with their person. So you have 5 love languages. Receiving gifts. I'm a big receiving gifts person. We're gonna break that down because people think it's about money. It has nothing to do with money. Receiving gifts, physical touch, quality time, acts of service, and words of affirmation. And so the love language that you normally give out, how you express it, is normally the one that you recognize the easiest. So a lot of times, so let's like my number one love language is quality time. And let's be clear, people, you do not just have one. People think, oh, I'm a this. No. When you really, there's a quiz, number 5, lovelanguages.com. You take that quiz, it'll break it down for you, and it'll break it down into percentages. So I'm like a 30 something % in quality time, which is pretty big when you have 5 different components. And then I'm like a 22 in like receiving gifts, and like a 20 something else in physical touch, right? So anyway, so quality time is my big one. So I'm going to recognize that first, that you desire, well, persons of quality time, you desire to be in my space and not just be here. It's about, I have your attention. You're not
Right.
just present, you're present. It matters. You're not just sitting here, you're here, right? So I have your
Not
attention.
zoned out in front of the TV, So I
Right.
hear you, baby. You know,
Just because you're sitting next to me, but you're on your phone. And yeah, we
right.
spent quality time together. No, we did not. No, we did not, because you're not paying attention. Your brain is elsewhere. So it's not enough to be physically present. You need to be mentally present, and have that desire to do that. So for a quality time person, we value, that those moments, and just the fact that you desire to be there in my space and interact with me. And so that's really important. So when a person does that, back to me, I'm like, oh, so to me that says you really, really, really value me. You want to sit next to me real, real bad, don't you? So that tells me something about, the quality of our relationship, or how you feel about me. So I'm going to recognize that first. If your words of affirmation and you're just maybe verbally like you dote on me, but you're not really eager to spend that time, it's like, well, that's nice. I hear all the words that you're saying, but for me, okay, but you're not really here, and I don't have your attention when you're here, but you may
Right.
be complimentary. You may be very talkative. And so for a words of affirmation person, they're just like, I'm letting you know how much you mean to me verbally. Cause what I feel, and the Bible says out of a man's heart, he speaks, right? So they feel like I'm telling you, right? So shouldn't you know that? For a quality time person, you can do all the talking all day long. But if you're not trying to sit right here and look at me like this, and you're not fully
Yeah.
engaged,
Yeah.
it's kind of white noise for a quality time person who leads in that area. So you can have opposites. And then in that regard, you'll feel like they're not really showing me that they value me. I'm not getting
Right.
that. And the other person who's a words of affirmation, what you give is what they like back, is what you receive, right? It's what you desire to receive, it's what you recognize first. So if you're not a verbal person, but you're a quality time person, they may feel like, I mean, you don't compliment me. You don't tell me, I'm cute today, and how important I am. You haven't said any of that, but they're like, but I just spent all this time listening to you, and about your day, and we've been together all day long. I've been fully engaged with you. I didn't know I had to compliment you, as well. So you see where they're both valid, but you have two different dynamics. And now you have the conflict there, because one person wants the verbal compliments and the verbal caressing. Another person is like, I want you to be present in the conversation right now. I don't need all the extras. I don't need the compliments. I just, can we just talk about the regular things? And so that can allow people to feel emotionally neglected and not valued in their relationships. When you have receiving gifts, we value thoughtful tokens. That saying, it's the thought that counts. We are those people where you could pick up something for 99 cents, but if it speaks to me and my personality, and you took the time to stop to say, this would light up her life right now if she had this. This is her favorite candy. I know how much she loved it. She hasn't had these in a while. Let me stop when you get these, and let me make sure she has. I'm gonna be like, oh my gosh, I know it was only $1, but yes,
Lime
it is my
Jolly
favorite
Ranchers.
candy.
I love me some Jolly Ranchers, girl.
All right. Thank you. Hey babe, I picked these up for you. So we value tokens,
Right.
things, very meaningful tokens, that are very specific to to us. Like, if my favorite flower and the color that I prefer, I don't want the same stuff you all got every other lady. I don't want this. I don't want the same roses. I don't want the same chocolate covered strawberries that you get every person you've ever dated in your life. That's just your go to. I'm like, do you know me?
Right.
Do you know
Personalize
me?
that thing, so to speak.
Yes, personalize it.
Yeah.
And we're also amazing gift givers. I am the personalization queen. You will never see the gift I have coming. You will never be able to fathom me like, oh my gosh, this is the dopest thing. I have given some of the most amazing gifts to people in relationships, and then even family. And they're just like, it's so out of the box, but it's you. Like, it's
Right.
you. No one else would ever have this, and it's very, very specific to you, because I'm listening all the time. I'm listening on a Thursday afternoon in May, and then December for Christmas, ta-da. And you're like, I said that I needed this. I know. I bought it
You
in
do be
June.
remembering though. You don't
Yeah,
forget
and
nothing.
I made sure that you had this, very specific. So, it is about the thoughtfulness and the action put behind it to make sure you have a token that you can look at or receive or use or whatever, that shows, yes, I stopped and I valued you because that's important to me. I want to see your reaction. I want to see your face light up, right? So you have a physical touch. It's something about the physical touch. You gotta, you have your person, they gotta have an ankle on you. Something they have to be touching you. And some people don't like that. They're just like, oh my, it is hot. Why? Why?
Want to curl up by your ankle and go to sleep.
Right. And you're like, get off of me. It is hot in here. But with the physical touch, I'm not a number one. I'm like a third physical touch. But with physical touch, it's something about your desire to touch in a non-sexual way that says you really do value me, the inner me, not in a sexual way, but me as a person. So when you have that, you walk past and you just kind of put your hand on the shoulder and rub down, or you rub the back, or you give that hug from behind and kiss her neck and walk away. You don't even want anything. It's like,
Yeah.
okay.
You know what I think it is? I think it's sometimes there's a touch that you touch for yourself, and then there's a touch that you touch for that person. I think that's the difference.
Yeah, because you know what speaks to them. When you know them, you know that that's really, really important to them because so let me say, I'll say this also, because I'm a science buff. Touch also releases oxytocin, which is a bonding hormone. Okay, so release through touch. That's why massage is such a good thing for, getting intimacy started.
Yeah.
So when you are just touching a person, just no reason, stroking the hair, the skin, or whatever, it's releasing oxytocin into the brain of the receiver. So even that says we're connecting, you care about me, you value me. And it just says something about how you see them, how you view them. You don't see them as that. So it definitely sends a message to them. And like you said, if they like the small of the back, just a little hand right there.
Yeah.
That's what you do for them. If they like a little hand touch, little kiss on the hand, and she's like, okay, you learn them. But it's something about the connection with the skin that makes them feel like you really, really do, want me in this physical body, but not just my physical body. Right. So you got the words of affirmation, people. They very much value the verbal, positive, the doting and all that. It just gives something, because it says you value me that much that you gotta verbally tell the world, you got to tell me you want me to know. So they're going to do that. And that makes, for some people, that may be overwhelming. But for them, it's completely normal. They're the people that are going to tell you every day, oh, you so fine, you look good today, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm just so proud of you. And they're just talking and you're like, okay. Thank you. They're the people that they have to give you a card. They're very wordy. They have no problem expressing emotion and feeling and things like that. And they expect that back. So you get a person who's a quality time, who is not a words of affirmation. They're just like, oh, you don't love me because you haven't told me how you feel about me. And they're like, oh, yes, I do. I've been spending time with you. And I touched you, rubbed on you the other day. It was happening. They're just like, but you didn't say XYZ. So it can kind of feel like, wait a minute, I'm doing all this work. I feel that I'm showing you how I feel, and you're telling me that I'm trash, as far as how what I'm doing for you. And so you have these two crazy dynamics. So, and then the last one, you have the acts of service. Acts of service, I think, is the one where people feel the most taken advantage. Because it requires so much time. So the acts of service person is the doer. They running the errands, they cutting the grass. They're, you have people, maybe even a parent, right? A mom, they like to cook and they pissed off. If you come downstairs and dinner is cold, you didn't say it was good. You know what I'm talking about? You've had somebody like that in your family be like, come on, they want to feed you. What do you need? Oh, okay, come on, sit down. What can I do for you? Right? They're the first person to jump when people need things. They have no problem. Oh, I get it. I'll pick that up for you. No problem. I'll do this, I'll do that. Right? So they are the doers, and they'll run every task that you need, whether you say it or not. So they're paying attention, and they'll do all the actions. Sometimes they're not very verbal. Sometimes they're not.
And most times they're quiet. You should just know. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And so that's their way. Right. So everybody has a different way, and they may feel unappreciated. Like, you heard your mom say, I do everything for everybody. And, ain't nobody that, so they like that back when people serve them in a way and do things to take things off of their plate, because an acts of service person will overload themselves doing everything because it gives them a certain level of joy, but it's their way of showing you, I care about you, I value you, right? I appreciate you. Let me do this for you. So they love to be of service, but they can overwhelm themselves. So it is important sometimes you be like, hey, I know you committed to doing XYZ. I went ahead and did that for you. I went ahead and tackled this task for you. I know this is something you do every week. I know you need to go to the grocery store because we out of milk. I picked up a gallon on my way home from work. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So what you love and what you do is what you recognize that you receive the easiest and the most. And when you have some of those opposites where one is not very wordy and one loves words of affirmation, or somebody's not touchy feely, they're an acts of service, and one person is a physical touch, you get the clashing there. And so it's so important that, first of all, we know our own love languages and we figure out like where did this come from, because you can have love languages from an unhealthy place. And I've been in that space where I was on the receiving end of a love language that was completely obsessive, and I was like, what, this is like not even doable, what you're requiring. It's like, oh my gosh, it's way too much. So sometimes it's born out of how we grew up and what we're used to, good or bad. We can grow up in a household that was really loving and everybody hugged, right? And, oh, I said I love you all the time. And then so you can be in a relationship and you can hug and I love you. And that person could be in a household where they didn't do that. And so they're like, it's kind of weird to me, what's that about, and they may express it in action, in doing. And so sometimes it's just, you have to look at where it came from. Sometimes it's born out of neglect, where they wanted some physical touch or some validation from a parent, a previous relationship that they never gotten. It was so detrimental. Now they're overly craving it and they expect you to stroke the ego or do all the things every 5 minutes. That is when it tips over, where it's born from an unhealthy place. And you're just like, you need to remedy that. So I always encourage people, take your love language quiz several times a year. Because based off of what's going on in your relationship, whether or you could be single, right? What's going on in your life, your love languages may change. And I've taken it in unhealthy relationship and out. And my love languages switched positions. And that blew my mind, because I was a words of affirmation and an acts of service.
Right.
And when it flip-flopped, and now, yes, I'm in, totally healthy space, right? Words of affirmation and acts of service at the bottom of my list. And I realized I was doing it because it was something that I craved from a partner because of negative, energy and feedback. I just wanted some positive energy. I wanted some positive words from you because it's always so negative. And if I just do all these things for you, maybe you'll finally be happy. So some people do stuff just because they're trying to fix something, or in an unhealthy space. So in a healthy space, I was like, and I didn't like touch. I wasn't really touchy feely. Oh, and I found out that I was. So physical touch, quality time, receiving gifts became my number ones. They were top of the list, and the other ones kind of fell by the wayside. And I had to really take an assessment of that and why and what was going on, what were the different, factors and things like that. And so it is really important. You got to know your love language. And people will say, well, how do I get that to my partner? How do we get on board? It's, both, because I can do mine, but what does that mean? And I always say, just do this just go take the quiz and then say, hey, babe, guess what? I saw this little quiz online and thought this was interesting about love languages. I think I know yours though. And they're going to be like, no, you don't. Well, take the quiz. Let me see. And then let me see what yours are. And let me see if I got them right. They'll take that quiz in 2 minutes. It only takes like 2 or 3 minutes just to go through the questions real quick. You now have a full picture of theirs. So I always encourage people, take it twice just to make sure. Take it 2 times and then compare. So knowing theirs, knowing yours, y'all got to trade places sometimes. Commit to it. You have to be intentional. If you know your partner is a words of affirmation, you can stand there and go like, oh my gosh, that's why you be acting like that. When I didn't, you had on, that suit the other day and walked past me and I was just like, hey, and he had attitude. Like, got dressed up, you ain't said nothing. Or she got her hair done and she'd have walked past you like this and you like, sup? And you ain't, Say
Put
nothing.
all this work into this outfit, and you
Right.
ain't said nothing.
You ain't said nothing, so that may be a words of affirmation. They want that from you. So when you really understand, you can understand yourself and you can understand your partner's behaviors. Give each other a little grace. You can relax a little bit, but you can commit to say, okay, I know that this is out of my wheelhouse, but it definitely blesses my partner and it makes them feel important, important piece of my, my life, and it makes them feel valued. Let me go outside of, myself. Let me stretch a little bit and let me do something once or twice a week that speaks to their love language. Because you speak in Chinese and she's speaking French, and nobody's communicating. No one that understanding is not there. You're both talking. Let's be clear. You're both actually showing each other the things, but you can't recognize it because it's a different language. So when oh, okay, let me speak your language a little bit today. I know you're a physical touch. I ain't really touchy feely like that. But can I give you a massage? Rub on you a little bit. She's like, oh my God. And so it changes the game when you just do something. And let me say this too. When your partner knows that ain't your thing, like they're really, makes you a little weirded out. That's not your thing. And you put forth that effort to flip to their side just for a minute. That also says you really do value me, because this is an uncomfortable space for you. You're not touchy-feely, or you're trying to spend quality time with me, and you're really working hard to not be on your phone, or, and you're really holding conversation with me. When they can see the effort, that really, really changes the game as well, because they're like, okay, all right, listen, I know you and you do. This is not what you be doing. This is not your thing, but here you are. So you're trying to make sure that I know that you do care about me, you do value me, you are considerate of me, and that I matter, and that I am an important piece, of you and in your life. You see me in your future and all those things. So when you do step out of yourself, and it has to be equal. It has to be equal. It changes the game, but it really takes everybody putting forth that energy. You just got to go look and say, well, let me take this and see what happens. Let me take it. I was very shocked that mine had changed. I didn't expect that, but like I said, this helped me to give better understanding and also communicate in a new relationship. I can communicate, these are my love languages. So we can lay that on the table, and it doesn't even have to be where you got to figure me out. And I mean, yeah, you're still
I
learning.
hate when they do that. They're like, if you don't know me by now, you'll
Right.
never
Well,
know me. You know what I'm saying?
and that's why I say for men, for me, I just know I'm the anomaly. I have the unique opportunity and just a mindset to just to know that sometimes it just takes. This is the work that people talk about in relationships, but they don't actually break down what is the work. They just say, relationships hard. Marriage, you got to put the work. What is the work? What's the
Right.
work?
Give me a
You know,
list. What I got to do,
what is the work? This is the work. Communication is the biggest piece of the puzzle. But when you don't have the knowledge, you can communicate ineffectively. So what are we communicating? Because you could talk. That doesn't mean you're actually communicating in a way that's digestible to your partner. Y'all just yelling at each other, which is going to shut down their ears and their heart. And they don't hear nothing you said. They're not going to change a single solitary thing because of how you said it, and delivery matters. And then now there's no progress. So this is the work. These are the tools. So when you learn yourself, I can tell someone new, I'm just so I know my love language. I'm a quality time, and I am a receiving gifts. Okay, so just be mindful of that.
Indeed.
I don't want it to come off that I'm unappreciative when I get a run of the mill gift, and I'll be like,
Right.
thanks, appreciate it, and I'm just like, thank you. When I go home, I'm kind of like, all right, thank you. And I mean,
Right.
okay, that was nice. But and it just says, like I said, in the beginning, that's okay because you don't really know me. But after a while, I do feel like that you should know me better. But I'm just gonna let it. I'm like, yes, I'm a receiving gifts, and I'm a physical touch. So you can't sit on the other side of the room and not talk to me. I walk around the house, past me, and I mean, like we beefing because what's up? You haven't talked to me all day. You can't talk to me when the lights go off. That's not going to work because you haven't spoken to me today, and like really really locked in with me, because that's the quality time side where you're really engaged. So
Right.
Know thyself, but commit to knowing your partner, but they got to know themselves too. And when you both put their work in, then you got you got some going there, and you can repair some things, you can heal some things that you thought you never would when you really really break down um those things about yourself. And it'll, like I said, it'll allow you to give them some grace in some things that you were really really wound up about, like really really wound up about emotionally and mentally, and go, okay. And you can just see them different. You see them different. And you know how you kind of replay, like on Nemo, when Dory replayed like all the steps real real fast in her head about
Right.
where she had been because she lost her memory. You can replay 20 years real fast when you learn your partner's love language. It's like, so in 1992, that one time when you, that makes sense. I understand now why you was pissed with me last month about XYZ. I didn't think it was that big a deal. That makes sense now why that bothered you. So we have to look at it more so is, it don't have to be my thing. I don't have to understand it. It doesn't have to be mine, but I need to respect it and value it because I value you. So if I value you, I have to make what deem as important. I have to make it important too, and I have to make an effort to prioritize those things because they're valuable to the person that I say I love and I care about.
Absolutely. You know what I noticed too in the book? They talked about people projecting their own love languages into their partner. Like, say, for
Mhm.
instance, if you are a person who likes to receive gifts and your partner's not, but you give your partner a gift, they don't really feel the love. You see what I'm saying? You didn't
Mhm.
ask them what they liked or what their love language is. I'm gonna tell you, some guys are real bad about gifts. We don't. Here's the thing: when women don't put thought in the gifts and they give us stuff like socks and drawers, it was like, you ain't
See,
put no effort
I'm
into this.
I'm
You
so
know.
not a socks and draws person. I have,
Oh, I
and
can
I
tell.
and I say this not to brag. I've given some of the dopest gifts like ever, where people have. I've gone on from relationships where they still remember 20 years later. You know what? I still got that one thing you gave me. That was dope. We went our separate ways, and they'll come back to me 25, 30 years later. You know that one. You know the thing you gave me in 1996. I still like that was, and I'm like, so you got to know your person. You know, if let's say hypothetically, say I know you like football, right?
Right.
You got your favorite team or whatever. I am not even a football person. I don't pay attention. Don't nobody come for me. I don't pay attention. Don't ask me nothing about it. Okay. So half the time
Right.
I'll be like, oh, the Super Bowl coming. Oh, that's interesting. So I'm not even paying attention. But you will have all of the things, if I see something related to your team, I may go get you something customized or whatever, or this, that, and the third, because I know that that's what you like.
That's
Football
right.
could drive me completely up the wall, but it's not about me because in our relationships, we are to be, and a portion of us is to be selfless. So it's not about me. It's about you. What speaks to my partner? And if that's what you like, that's what you like. If I know you don't even do gifts, you just like to go golfing. Okay, let me book you a day. You know what I'm saying? Where you ain't got nothing to do. I'm not gonna give you ain't got no tasks to do. Go check out. Okay. Go here. Here's the address. Go have fun. Here's your outfit for you to become, but you're good. You like, oh, I got my golfing outfit. You may get some new clubs. Go have fun. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna ask you for nothing. Go enjoy your day. You don't have to spend it with me. Or we can go together and we can do that together. I enjoy golf, but let's say I hated golf. I'm gonna go because that speaks to you, and
Right.
the enjoyment on your partner's face, it matters. So it doesn't even have to be your thing, and that's one thing I don't like when people buy gifts that they love. Like, that's what you
Oh
like,
yeah.
and now you make that person feel ungrateful when they're just like, thanks.
You really didn't buy that for me. You bought that for yourself, didn't you?
You bought it because you
You know,
like
I
it.
really didn't need a screwdriver.
Yeah, my mother does that. She does that to people where she's like, I thought this was really great, and it was like, do you know this family member at all? That's not how they get down. That's your personality. So you really you just gotta pay attention. It doesn't have to be your thing. You just gotta pay attention. When you know them, you'll know. I had a client, he was young, And he was just like, when I finally get married, the person I'm with, she, she's got to like what I like. And I said, no, she doesn't. No, I said, the person that you're going to end up marrying, she's not going to like anything you like. Watch. I said, but you're going to love her because she values what you do like, and she's going to put effort in that area. That's where you see, like, wait a minute. Okay,
That's when you
she's
see people
really,
showing up for you, you know?
yeah, she's really into me. She don't even like this. I said, you're an anime. He loved anime. I said, you're an anime person, right? He's like, yeah, I love anime. I said, you could date a girl and she could hate anime, right? But she knows it's a big convention in town. She could buy tickets for you and your homeboy that's also into anime, whatever. Y'all go have fun. That's her showing up for you. Or she could say, I'm not really into this, but okay, so who's that? Tell me about it. Or, I'll go with you. This is your thing. She buying you hoodies and sweatshirts with your favorite characters on. She don't know who them people are. She just know that that's what you like. And
Right.
she's just trying to make it happen for you. And so that, like you said, that's how you show up for people. And I told him, I said, a person, she doesn't have to be that same gamer girl, anime chick at the convention that likes exactly what you like in order for you to see the value in her. Um, and I said, the person that's probably going to come your way is going to be the opposite of you. But she's going to put in so much work to make sure that you are loved and so well, valued. And she's going to she's going to show that so much. Your mind is going to be completely blown. Because how much effort are you really putting in if y'all like the same things all the time? You enjoy each other,
Right.
right? You enjoy each other. But that's easy work. I like pizza, you like pizza. We like the same kind of pizza. We're never going to argue in that area, right? So
Right.
there's no growth there. There's no pushback. There's no conflict. But I want to go to Jamaica. You hate Jamaica, and you want to go to Paris, and I'm like, you want to go to Paris, So you got some. Then now you got a conflict. You got some decisions to make because we got to pick the trip. Where we going? Right? Somebody has to cave and say, you know what? I know you've always really, really, really want to go to Paris. And that's been your dream. We can only make this trip. This is the money we got. We've saved. Let's go to Paris.
That's right.
That right
That's how you
there,
do it.
somebody's like, oh my gosh. Okay. Then now you started something because they like, you know what? I'm about to work real hard so we can get some more money because now we going to Jamaica next time. I got you. So now instead of snowballing in a negative way, you're snowballing in intention and good energy, good feelings, acts of service. You're doing, so all of those love languages, we all have them. They're going to start showing up and all the things. So you're feeling a kind of a totality in care and consideration and all the things. The quality time is happening. The intention is, is happening. You have that good energy there, and the effort is there. The effort is there, especially when this is not what you want to do. You don't even like this particular type of movie, whatever. But you took me to go see this movie because I'm a fan. I'm like
Right.
I was a big Lord of the Rings fan, huge Lord of the Rings fan, right?
Yeah.
And I had watched all of the series, and my ex-husband, he couldn't stand them. And we
He
had a
couldn't
lot of,
get down with Bilbo Baggins and
oh
you
no,
shall not pass. He couldn't
no.
get down with
I
none of
would
that.
I would sit in the living room and I would watch Lord of the Rings by myself. He'd be in another room, like, she's still watching that. And them movies 3 hours long, a piece.
Yeah.
Like I'm sitting there and I was
Popcorn
just like,
time.
I watch them all day just by myself. And then they came out with, where they went backwards with
Yeah.
like,
Hobbit. Yeah.
so I was like, oh, okay. So now we got some flashback, got some backstory going. I want to see them so bad. He was like, okay. And I had become so used to him not showing up for me in that area. I didn't
Right.
even say anything. I didn't say anything, but I saw everything he wanted to see. I'm a big Marvel fan because I was like, oh, who's that? Oh, okay. What does he do? We went through the comics. I was like, oh, okay. So he's in love with so-and-so. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a baby. And then, so his power is this. Oh, okay. Boom. Okay. So I learned all the characters and I was like, this is not reciprocal because I dove into it and it wasn't my thing. I was totally green to it. And this was like, early 2000s. Right. And I dove head first. Like, okay, who's that? I took an interest in it, and then I fell in love with it all. And I'm like, well, this is what I like. I'm not going with you to see that. You're on your own. Really? All right. So when he finally took me to go see one of them, I was just like, oh, he loved it. He couldn't wait to see the second one. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third one. And I'm like, see, that's what it takes. That's what it takes. That was one of his shining moments. I may talk about him here and there, but that was one of his few shining moments where I saw there's some effort there. But that's just an example to say it doesn't have to be a thing. You don't have to understand it, but your partner does value when they see genuine effort. If you're gonna do it and complain, keep it. Don't do that. Don't be like, come on, I'll take you to this. Never mind. Never mind. So if
The
you're
Lord
doing it
loves a
begrudgingly,
cheerful giver, don't
if
do that.
you're doing anything begrudgingly, quality time, and you're like, you still don't spend no time. All right, here I am. Oh no, you might as well not. You can go do something else, because
Right.
and coupled with that, you can also taint someone's love language where they don't want it from you at all. So if you're disingenuous with how you do it, that
Right.
person will then in turn shut completely down on you because they don't want that from you at all, because they want it from a genuine place. So now
Right.
I have no desire to spend time with you at all because you really are not doing it genuinely. I don't want any gifts from you because you're just throwing me whatever because here, sorry, here.
Right.
Oh, no, thank you. The physical touch, you just no, nobody wants
Get
that.
that junkie itch. Like Tyrone Biggles. I
Right.
scratch it,
No, nobody wants that. Nobody wants to feel
No.
like you just you look nice today. Nobody wants their love language to be thrown at them. You know what I'm saying? Like you stepped on it,
Like
like you
it's a
rubbed it in
label
dirt
or
first.
something.
Yeah, you rolled it around on the ground first and spit on it, and then you picked it up and handed it to me. Here you go. That's what that feels like. So be genuine because you care about them and you want some progress in your relationship. So don't do it with like you said, be a cheerful giver. Do it with a good heart. Be genuine about it, and just know that that person who really, really cares about you, they would never do anything to hurt you on purpose. It's a lot of miscommunication going on, and a lot of lack of understanding, and a lot of ignorance. And the word ignorance just means to not know. That's all it means.
Right.
It just means you don't know. It means there's a lack of information. There's some information that you don't have, and you're making an opinion or an assumption with minimal information, with missing information. That's all that means. You're operating with minimal information. So when you have more information, you should, you can respond and act and behave, differently with that new information. So once you have some better information, hopefully y'all picked up on some of these things. You can implement those things little by little, and that can turn the tide where they see, you know what, you are here for the long haul. You are putting forth the effort, because some people will just decide, you don't like me, you don't love me because you didn't do this, that, and the third, instead of really diving into, I need to figure who you are as a person. I have couples, excuse me, I have couples who've been together 25 years and they're still learning each other. They still learn something. And think about it, we evolve. Like for me, I just talked about how I dove into Marvel into my mid-20s. I had no clue about any of that. Know who any of those people were. I knew DC, and that was it. And I knew very little. I knew who Superman was, I knew Batman was. That was it. That was the
Right.
end of it. I didn't know nothing else. Ask me who Green Lantern is. Who the heck is that? Right? Now I know everybody. I know their backstories. I knew this. I know the successors. I know, the different storylines from the comics. And this person played them from 19 such and such. Those are things that
Right.
I started to really dive into. And so you can evolve. You can
You're
evolve.
supposed to.
Yeah.
Think about it. When you start off in life, you have no information. And
Yeah.
as you get older, you add more and more experiences, which make us more richer over time.
Mhm.
And as you become richer, you find out things that you discover, like you said earlier, that you like, and some things that you don't like. So you're absolutely correct. We do change.
Yeah, we change. And even when you have experiences together, at one point, I had sushi for the first time, fell in love with sushi. Now I'm a sushi person. You couldn't pay me to eat sushi before that. I'd be like, that is gross. It's disgusting. Why would I do that? That is raw. You want me to eat raw seafood, raw fish? Why would I no, that sounds like a death wish to me, you know? And so then
Right.
I had it for the first time. I was like, this is really, really good. So you're evolving. So then you pay attention. Oh, you know what? We had sushi. I didn't care for it. She loved it. I now know if I really want to make her day, let's say it's my birthday or something. That's a place I now know her. I have information. I press enter in my brain. I've stored that away. So the next time something comes up, you can just say, hey, I need you to be dressed by 7:30. Wear some nice, do your hair and everything. Okay. I'm gonna be okay. And guess what? Wh- I'm like, where we going? Boom, sushi, because you know me. So you don't
Right.
have to figure me out. If I know you're not a meat eater, we're not finna go to Texas Roadhouse, and I'm
Right.
like, oh, this is what we're doing. Why would I do that? We're going somewhere else. So you gotta know your person, and it can't be about you all the time. You gotta trade places, and you gotta have you gotta have it reciprocal. So there's a thing called symbiotic relationships. And in science, a symbiotic relationship says we both benefit. So you have parasitic relationships, right? For
Right.
parasitic, one person is benefiting from the other person gets nothing. The second organism is living off the other one. So you'll see animals and they have certain bugs or whatever, and they just
Barnacles
live
on
there.
whales and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, they just live there and it's cool. It doesn't bother the main organism. The second one is just feeding and living. It adds nothing to you. It's a lot of parasitic relationships going on where they're receiving,
Absolutely.
receiving, receiving. They're not giving anything. A symbiotic relationship says, I watch, you watch my back, I watch yours, right? So I'm giving and you're giving. So we're both receiving what we need from each other, but while we're also very intentional to give what the other person needs and not taking it for granted that, oh, it's what I'm getting what I need. It ain't got nothing to do with me. Oh, it has everything to do with you. So we have to have that balance there. We have to have that balance there to make sure that we are mindful of our partner and what they need and their happiness, but that also comes down to communication. That comes down to communication. Sometimes people won't communicate that they're unhappy or what the issues are or what they need, and so we go back to that. So communication is always going to be the key, but some people just don't know what to communicate. So here you have the tools, learning your love languages and being able to communicate. This is what I need. And I'm just not feeling like, you're giving me that. And so I would really, really appreciate, if I could see a little bit more of that, whatever. And they can in turn say, well, yeah, I would like to see such and such. And, you know, um, so I'm going to put, forth some effort, there. I hear what you're saying. So can we both, just kind of commit to that? And there's nothing wrong with scheduling that on Fridays. Say Fridays is, I'm going to make sure that, we do this. I know this is what you like. We'll do that on Fridays. And on Sundays, can we go do this? Can we go do that one thing that I liked? Can we go do that? Because you're two totally different people from different backgrounds, and you're just you're trying to fuse together. Completely different ideals, value systems sometimes,
Right.
interests, um, and even experiences and things like that. Your experiences will shape who you are. They'll shape who you are. So and that's where they say, relationships are hard. Relationships require work. It does require work. But the work doesn't have to be hard. It's the lack of information that's the problem. Because we really don't know what the work is. We don't know what the work is. We think we know what the work is. Um, so we're working against the grain, because you're doing things that are ineffective. When you do effective work, you can do effective work in a short amount of time and get better results, you know? So sometimes
Absolutely.
we're just spinning our wheels doing stuff that we think is good. I had a couple, they've been together for a long time, and we got them to a good place of communicating, and she started sharing some things physically in the bedroom that he did that completely bothered her. And he said, why you ain't tell me? He said, I thought you liked that. I've been doing that all this time. You don't like that? She was like, no, I don't. And he was like, what? He said, I'm thinking I'm killing the game. I'm putting it down. She said, no, I don't like that. But he never asked what she liked. He never put forth the effort. He was just doing what he thought, what he heard that women like. So he just generalized and he just went for it.
Right.
So there was no, so it was twofold. So she never felt safe enough to say, this is what works for me. This isn't what work, this isn't what works for me. Can you do this or do that or whatever? So it was, you see how it's multifaceted. So she didn't feel safe enough to say. He's like, if you had told me, she's like, well, if I felt like I could tell you, I would have told you. And I didn't feel like it really mattered to you what I really needed, that it was about you and you were doing it for yourself. He's like, no, I did it because I thought you liked it. So now they were able to heal that because they saw both had good intentions. They both had good intentions. They dropped, he said, okay, well, he said, I'll stop doing it. I'm going to do it again. I thought you liked that girl. She was like, absolutely not. Don't do that again. And he's like, okay, well, we'll just work to, let's do something different and figure out what you do like. So that's where the work comes in. It's communication. Communication is the biggest thing to combat a lot of this stuff. And then, yeah, you got to do some implementation, but doing ineffective things, you just spinning your wheels. You're spinning your wheels, and now you feel bitter because I've been doing all this for you all this time. She don't even appreciate me. I work hard every day, and they said she really wants you to spend time with her. Maybe she's a quality time, maybe she's a physical touch, and you feel like, well, I worked all day because you're an acts of service. You're an acts of service, and you feel like I did this, and I ran on the errands, I cut the grass, I did this, I do all these little errands you want me to do. I don't feel like she appreciates me. So all these different dynamics can be cleared up with some very simple conversations. But like I said, we don't have the knowledge, you don't have the information. You don't even know where to start. You don't know what the work is. You don't know, a lot of people just don't know what the work is, and they think that they're doing the right things and they have good intention and they're doing, just ineffective work. It's like walking, you ever played a video game and their character hits their wall and their arms keep moving like this and they just at the wall and you're like, are you gonna go around the wall? You're gonna keep doing, that's what you're doing in essence. You're moving, there's movement, but are you getting
progress?
Yeah, are you moving through the game? Are you moving along the pathways? Like you said, is there any progress? Is there any forward movement? Is there any fruit to what you're doing? Because you can do all the work you want to, and it could not mean a hill of beans to your partner, and it can just be completely white noise. And then you could feel like, well, I feel like I'm doing a lot, and now it's cycling because now you have unappreciation on both sides, right? I don't feel appreciated because you're not showing me what I feel like I need to see. And I'm doing all this work, and you want to appreciate me. You got two people sitting in therapy and going, I'm unappreciated. Well, me too. Okay, let's get to the root of this because
you gotta be doing all this extra work and you don't even appreciate me, I'm tired.
And it's like, well, the work you're doing, that's not what you need. Like me and you, we talked before about I know you remember we talked about pancakes versus waffles, right? If I say I love waffles, and you say I'm gonna cook breakfast for you, and you make me a stack of pancakes, knowing that I don't like pancakes, just because of the texture, I'm like,
and here come me it's the same mix,
right?
No,
but
I don't like the texture.
So you're like, I did all this work though. I've been in the kitchen all morning. I done made this whole spread. I made all these pancakes, and now you're feeling unappreciated. And I'm like, well, I don't feel like you listen to me. I don't feel like that you're really invested in me and you pay attention to me to know that that's something that I wouldn't even have. I've had a couple where the wife was allergic to strawberries. Guess what he got her? A dessert for her birthday, covered in strawberries. And she's like, why would you bring me that? And he's like, but I got you a cake. It's your birthday. So now he's saying you unappreciative. She's like, no, do you know?
Trying to kill me.
I'm allergic to strawberries. Why would you give me that? So he's feeling like, well, I put forth all this effort, and you're not appreciating the work. Both of y'all sit down, right? Because there's a breakdown in communication happening. And one of you in this regard is not fully taking in and digesting and implementing what the other person is really needing. So sometimes it's valid, sometimes in that regard it's not. It's like, no, that you just didn't listen. You just didn't listen. And now you're offended because you felt like you did a lot of work. I went through all of this. You know how much this cake costs? I went and did this, that, and the third, and I had to go and pick it up, and it cost me this much money. You did all of that. ineffective. You're walking into the wall in the video game, just standing there at that brick wall, and you're not going anywhere. You're doing a lot of work,
Right.
and the work is completely unfruitful.
You know, I got a question. In that particular case, I have to beg to ask the question: did you really do it for her, or did you do it for yourself? You know what I'm saying?
Woo!
Think about it.
So,
You mad because if you really did it for her, you would apologize and got her another cake and say, "Hey, look, I'm sorry, dog. Look, here's the cake that you really need right here." But
yeah,
you said, "I did all of this. I did
yes,
all this work." You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Did you do it for you, or did you do it for her? You
Did
know?
you do it to say, look at the cake I got my girl. Look at the cake I
Yeah,
got
look
my
at me.
wife. Yeah, it's nice. And it's feeding your ego because you feel like you did something big. If
Right.
you really were doing it big, you would just pay attention. You would pay attention. I mean, of course I definitely have some personal experience with that where I was on both sides. I was on both sides. Um, on the receiving end where I was like, what is this? This has nothing to do with me. Why would you give me this? My mother-in-law would do that. She buys stuff she loved. She sent me I know you see people make t-shirts and they have those little machines, the cricket things where they
Right.
doing a little vinyl. She got me a generation 1 original model that had zero technology in it. It didn't even connect to a computer for real. She sent me one for Christmas and I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? She's like, well, I just figured maybe you like to start like making t-shirts with the kids. Who told you that? Who told you that?
Now you got this thing taking up space in the house. You
Yeah.
know.
Right now, and I had it for years. I just held on to it because I knew she was going to ask, where is it? And she would ask, did you use it yet? No, it collected dust for years before I got rid of it. I literally had it probably, I think I had it 15 years before I got rid
You
of
better
it.
let that go.
I just held on to it and I eventually I moved and I threw it away. But she would always get me things that she felt like I, yeah, I felt like you but do you know me? And I would tell my ex-husband, look what your mother sent. And he would just shake his head. He's like, who's that for? It's for us. What are we supposed to do with that? I don't know. Um, um, I, I, and so it was things that she enjoyed. And she just felt like, well, I just feel like maybe you would do that. She gave us a dog one year. Um, we weren't looking for a dog. We lived in a really tiny house with really small children, and she gave us one of her puppies from. She just showed up for Christmas, Merry Christmas, and put a puppy in her arms, and we were like,
I bet
you know,
she saw that on TV, didn't pull them
she
out the box. You know. Merry
and
Christmas.
that dog turned out to be super aggressive. I know they say it's in how you raise them. This dog was mixed. She didn't even know what it was mixed with. You know how we do. We don't know half the time. We don't know
He
what the
was
dog
mixed with
is.
some hell in
And so my neighbor, this white guy lived next door to me. He was like Ned Flanders. Hey neighbor, how's it going? I was like, hey, oh, I see you got a dog. I was like, yeah. He said, what kind of dog is it? I said, I don't know. And he picked the dog up and he looked the dog in the face and he said, this dog is German Shepherd. I said, okay. And he's playing with the dog. He said, you know this dog is part child? I said, no. How do you know? He said, I'm looking at, the dog's tongue and the nose and everything. This dog is part child. He said, you have to be really, really disciplined and careful with these because you have small children and they can, be aggressive if they are not handled by someone who's intentionally saying, I know how to handle the child. That dog harassed my children. I mean, would chase them until they fell into tears and he would not stop. He was extremely aggressive. And I had a home daycare and he bit one of my daycare children. It was 2. He bit him on the hand. I was like, you tell your mother not to ever. And dog, he was extremely destructive. We loved on him so much and he just could not get it together. We were doing every little dog training technique that we was researching and we was like, he's destructive. He's wild. He was like a wolf. He was running through the house and he was tearing up the backyard and he was a complete mess. And yeah, we had to get rid of him. We was like, oh, he's got to go. And I'm like, now you're biting children that are in my care and I'm getting paid for it. Absolutely not. absolutely very innocent children who are just like, oh, it's a doggy. And he was like, "Arr," and I was like, oh my God, you got to go. And so if you don't know me to know, or even paid attention to know what it is that I need, what it is that, I love, what my interests are, and things like that, you have to be careful with what you're doing in the energy, even if it's an action, you know. If you know somebody's scared of heights, don't take them to the I don't know if y'all have iFly, but it's an indoor skydiving place. Don't take them to iFly. It's indoor. You get in with the suit on, and they turn this air thing on in the middle, and you're in
Right.
this chute. You're in this big thing, and it takes you up in the air, and it spins you around like this, and you got to hold your arms out, and you're literally indoor skydiving. You don't take somebody who has a fear of heights and do that, right? You wouldn't do
Right.
that. So we have to stop doing ineffective things just because I like it. I like it. Let's do this all the time. Okay. It's balance. Communication, intention, balance. Gotta have a balance. Gotta reciprocate. It can't be about you all the time. So, like you said, when it's even feeding your own ego, so you can say, yeah, this is what I did. This
Right.
is, this is what I got. Like you said, who's that for? Is that for you to be able to show people, or for you to feel good about what you did when you really weren't mindful of your partner and what their real needs, were, and what would be, received well, that just light up their life. And
Right.
even with that one, we talking about a health issue. You bringing something she allergic to, like, why? I'm sorry. Listen, I've seen it all. I have seen and heard it all. I'm just sitting there like, okay. So you're correct. Some people do it to feed their own ego so they can feel good about themselves and be able to keep score and say, I did this.
Absolutely. They want to get some kind of credit for it,
Mhm.
If
Yep.
it hadn't been for me,
Yep.
just thought I'd remind you, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and love does not keep score. We know that as well. Effective. If you going tit
Right.
for tat about what you did and you bringing it up, you could have kept that.
You know what? I think relationships, I think a lot of times people don't understand how much work really goes into having a fruitful relationship and a fruitful marriage, because it's ongoing education,
Mhm,
as they say in school. And I
mhm.
think people just stop with whatever it is they feel like they learn and say, hey, you know what? You should love me the way I am. And my question is this: do you plan on staying that way forever? Do you want to grow at some point in time? You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Ooh. Okay. You would have tapped into a whole nother show. So sometimes people will be like, okay, let me address a certain behavior that I'm seeing in you that is not this is not beneficial for me. It makes me feel a certain type of way in this relationship. And they can say, well, yeah, this, I'm this way because such. This is how I am. Take me or leave me. Especially if you have a recognition that is not a healthy thing, and
Right.
you're just saying, well, I do this because of that. And that's just how I am. No, that's just not how you are. That's how you're choosing to stay. What happens to you in life is not always your fault. But how you proceed and heal and handle those things is your responsibility.
Right.
So when you have a trauma or something, whether it was from a parent, a sibling, a relative, a stranger, whatever, it's your responsibility to do the necessary work to heal those things, because no current or new person deserves the bad behavior as a result of something that had nothing to do with them, that predated and preceded them. So if you've experienced something at the hands of someone else, and I am on the receiving end of all the repercussions, is that fair to me as the partner? Mm-mm. And if we have a conversation and you see that that is hurting your partner or is causing a relationship to be stagnant, if you value them enough, you can say, you know what? Yeah, I've been like that for a long time, and I see that that's bothering you. Okay, maybe I'll work on that. I'll try to work on it. Or you know what? I really gotta fix this. I gotta change that. Because it's not okay. It's not okay just to say, well, that's just how I am. And I mean, I've been away for so long, and we develop armor sometimes, and that builds, right? You got the chest plate on, you got the shoulders, you got the helmet, you have all the things. And sometimes that armor serves us for a certain season in our lives as protection. That's fine.
Right.
When you get into a new space with somebody who does not warrant the armor, take it off. It's okay. It's okay to take it off, because you're still operating in the old space with the new person. You still got the armor on. And so all of the same behaviors you're giving to them. So you're taking someone else's offense, putting it in a gift box and putting it in their lap and say, you're responsible for this. No, no, no. So if you have the recognition that it's not a healthy behavior, your partner has made note that, this is not cool, this makes me feel a certain type of way, then we talking logical. The next logical thing to do is to say, I need to fix this. It's not okay. Some people are so comfortable with the armor. The armor is safety, and they're so comfortable being in a safe space. That's very difficult for them to take the armor off, because now that requires vulnerability, right? Because the
Right.
armor is rough, it's hard, it's protection, it's safety. It covers the heart mainly, right? Because when you think about armor in a figurative thing, the heart is going to be what you're really, really trying to safeguard. So you got the chest covered up, right? And you got the other pieces, and you're in full protection mode, where you may not allow yourself to be vulnerable enough to talk about what the things are, and you can't. I always say you cannot heal what you do not feel. So if you're
Ooh,
continuously
I like
keeping those
that.
things covered and numb, how can you can't heal it? You gotta let it out, go to the ugly place of, sometimes you gotta dig it up, you gotta cry, you gotta go sit in there. Therapy is a beautiful thing. Therapy is one of the most stigmatized things in the Black community. Therapy is an amazing thing. Go and get it out, and you will find that you can start to move forward and heal some things that you never thought you could, because you you know you you touched it. There's a thing called trauma therapy. I went through trauma therapy for a year after a freak accident,
Right.
really, really bad, and I had a bad concussion, and it caused anxiety and it was bad. I went through trauma therapy, and I had to write down all the facts of what happened to me, and I
Okay.
wrote it. It was real. It was hard. 2 pages long. I had to write down this accident that happened to me and the timeline. So it was very black and white. On this date, this happened. On this date, this happened. On this date, this happened. I gave it to my therapist. She read it. She said, "Okay." She said, "That wasn't for me. That was for you. We wrote it down. You got it out." She said, "Now I want you to rewrite it again, and I want you to add in the emotion that you felt with each one of those occurrences and those dates." And I was like, "Okay." And I'm writing and I'm crying. I'm writing and I felt blah, blah, blah. I felt like it was my fault. Had I not gone to that place, this would not have happened. I was talking, it was the blame. If I had not gone that day, this wouldn't have happened to me, and have blah, blah, blah. And then, yeah, so I had to associate and dig into the emotion of the chronological, things that happened. And then she had me rewrite and rewrite it, and I had to add more and more and more. I can talk about that traumatic experience like I'm reading a book now. It doesn't bother me at all. I can talk about it all day long, and it's helped a lot of people move through similar situations. So you cannot heal what you do not feel. And if you don't bring it to the forefront and face it, it's not going anywhere. And now your partner feels like, do you really value me a lot, for real? Because if you value me enough, and I'm telling you that this action, however it came about to you, if I'm telling you this is hurting me and it has nothing to do with me and it predated me, and you're refusing to face the music and even do a little bit of effort to change the behavior, that says this thing is bigger than your love for me, your value for me. I can go, because I'm taking the back seat to your trauma
Right.
that you are refusing to do the work for. It's not easy, but effort. When we talk about effort and intention, the fact that you are even considering, like, or just the acknowledgement, I realized like that's, that this is not a good thing for me to do. And this is scary for me. And I have to fix this. Just that little bit of acknowledgement can make your partner go, okay, well, you know what? I'm with you till the wheels fall off and beyond, I'll support you through it, whenever you need. And they can recognize, okay, this is a thing for you. I value you enough to sit with you in it. You have to value me enough to not stay in it and hurting the person that's sitting, with you. And so a lot of that is excuses for comfortability. Sometimes that negative person, that different persona and shell that we've built up, fuses with who people will cause it to fuse with who they are and make it a crutch. And they just feel like, well, this is me. It's actually not your personality. It's not who you are. At the core of your being, it's not who you are. It's who you became, and it has a negative effect. That's not who you are. So some people, they don't like to take the protective protective personality that they build up. They don't like to take that off,
No, they
because
don't.
it's safe. It's safe. It's
Yep.
safety. And that's a scary place to have to do that. But if you love somebody enough, you with them, come on, you got to be able to say you're worth it. And not just for the relationship, for yourself. You just should want to be a better person. But if they comfortable, they
Yeah.
don't see it like that. They're just like, hey, this me. This how I roll. You seen people say that. This what I do, this how I roll, right? But sometimes you do have to look at the other side for the sake of the relationship. You may be comfortable with that. You're cool with that. Now you've had some light shed on the behavior to see how this is really affecting other people. Is it still okay? Are you going to sit comfortable? Because just because you're comfortable, that doesn't mean that that's where you're supposed to be. That doesn't mean that that is your goal. Like you said, well, we should always be evolving and growing. So being a better person for someone else sometimes should be your driver. Even if you're not committed to doing it for yourself because you're comfortable. I want to be the best person for you as my partner. And you should want to do the same for me. When I separated, initially, I said, I'm going to therapy. And I said, I refuse to punish a future person for my past experiences.
Absolutely.
I refuse to pigeonhole a future person because of his behavior. I have to know that there is better for me, and I can't generalize and say, this has been my experience for 15 to 20 years, so everybody is going to treat me the same. So I have to unlearn the responses that have become a part of me in response to this behavior. So my coping mechanisms had become what they had become in response. That's my responsibility. I got to do that. I can't continue. And let me tell you I can't do that. It's now going forward, my responsibility to say, this is who I have evolved into. And I don't like these things about myself. I don't like how I feel. I also don't like that my responses are as they are, because now someone is going to do something very genuine for me and I'm going to get triggered because the behavior seems familiar. Now I'm going to expect this behavior. I want to expect this behavior because it's what I'm familiar with. When
Right.
in actuality, they ain't that's not how they was going to respond at all. And they like, what you talking about? And it's like, whew, my bad. So I had an
Mhm.
expectation, because the brain is a powerful thing, and it starts to connect with those things. And I said, that's not fair to a future person. So I want to make sure that I heal those things, because all I can do is worry about me. So if I have to dig deep and tackle those things within myself so that I do not punish a future person for past performances and experiences, then I'm committed to that. And I went to therapy for 2 years to make sure that I was the person you see, because I'm not the person that's going to be like, do more relationships and marriage, down with that. A lot of people will
Right.
do that, and then they'll get on a podcast like this and bash women and bash men. And then I'm just like, oh my gosh, don't do that. You got a lot of unhealed people behind a microphone.
You better
And
say it.
a lot of their followers are also unhealed people too. And they like, yeah. And it's, oh my, and I'm just sitting there like, oh my gosh, don't do that. We all got work to do, and being a better person for yourself and then a better person for a partner that doesn't even exist for you yet. They're not even in your space. You should think about, that I want to prepare myself. I want to be a good person to people in general. But I also want to make sure I can receive everything I'm supposed to receive from that new relationship, that future relationship. I can't even appreciate them right. I can't even recognize the love they give me because I'm like, you got ulterior motive here.
Right. What's your angle? You know what I'm
What
saying? Like you
yes,
said on life, what's your
um,
angle?
what you about to do? Because I'm
Right.
thinking about what somebody else did to me, or they get mad at me and I expect, oh my gosh, they finna yell and scream. And they're like, oh, okay, no problem. It's fine. And I'm, oh, okay, wait. We're not yelling and screaming? They're like, huh? What you talking about?
Yeah, I want to yell and
Okay.
scream.
Right. So when we know what we know, but it, like I said, it is our responsibility to heal it on all ends, because no one else can do that for you. We are only responsible in that regard for our healing. We can't blame everybody forever in our past, but what you absolutely should not be doing is punishing the present or future person for
Absolutely.
for those things. And the person that has served you for protection, that's fine. That was a season. And if you're committed to saying, I want to be in a relationship with somebody new, you got to drop the armor. You can't keep the same protective, person that served me for a season. And I can't stay in that space if I
Right.
want to be in a healthy relationship, receive all the love that I'm supposed to receive, and also be able to give it, genuinely as well, so that I can grow and that we can grow.
Right. You know what I always say? Love is the gift you give to yourself, and you get an opportunity to share it with somebody else. You know, you got to be able to
I like
take
it.
care of yourself
Hmm.
and show up. I
Yeah.
think a lot of times, man, people are far too in love with their armor because it's
Yes.
safe,
It's
and it
safe. It's
relieves them
comfortable.
of the responsibility
Uh-huh.
of doing the inner work and showing up for somebody else.
Uh-huh. It's like the armor has become a second skin. You know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
fused with them because they ain't never took it off, and now they can't. You know what I'm saying? Take it off because you had it on for so it's like it mummified to your skin. You can't even get it off, and you don't have an identity outside of it. And some people don't have an identity outside of their trauma. They don't know who they are. They don't know what to do because their armor has served them for so long, and they've kept it because it's comfortable, and they just get into a routine of operating, and they don't know what to do with themselves outside of the armor. And like you said, it's safe, and they just sit in it. But taking it off to them, that's like, now they coming at you like, like you in the wrong because you're trying to, like, come on, you got to change this. Why you see you trying to change me? Like,
I'm just trying to get you to feel some joy
right.
down in your soul. You know what I'm
And
saying?
I and I always say, when going back to what we talked about with self-care being the origination for intimacy, is that I tell my clients, you're no good to anybody if unless you are good to yourself.
Absolutely.
If you don't love yourself, you don't have identity, you don't have purpose, you don't have joy, because happiness and joy are two different things. You can be happy is conditional. It's sunny outside,
Joy is the
you're
inside job, you know.
happy. Right. Joy means, man, it's raining outside. Let me do something that I love. Or you can find the beauty in that. Joy is something that is with you. And it's, so, like, okay, thermostat, thermometer. Thermometer is going to read the temperature, right? And it's going to change based off of the external, temperature that it makes contact with. It is not in control, right? That's
Right.
happy. That's happy. Some happen, oh, I'm saying. Some great happen, oh, and I'm happy, right? Joy is a thermostat. You set that thermostat at 72 or 73, that's where you expect it to stay. It doesn't matter what's happening outside. It doesn't matter temperature outside. It doesn't matter who comes in and out and shuts the door and you like close the door back up, because guess what? You're trying to regulate and maintain what's happening in here. You can't come in my space throwing me off my square like that with your behavior, attitude, or what have you, because my thermostat is set. You know how people be like, don't touch that don't touch that thermostat, right?
Stay in
So
and stay out,
the thermostat says it doesn't matter if it's freezing outside. It doesn't matter if it's 105. It's 73 up in here. And that's what it is. So if you don't have that, you can be a really, just unpleasant person in general. And you can just seem really, just really unhappy and kind of disgruntled, just bumbling through life. And that's not a person that you just want to continue to be, just for yourself. Just for yourself. And you definitely don't know how to properly love another person if you don't have that for yourself. You don't have basic level of love and joy and value for yourself. You cannot love another person properly. It's impossible. It's impossible. You can't do it because you're going to make everything is conditional now for you, right? They
Right.
need to do this to make you happy. You did this to make them happy. They don't respond like you like, you pissed.
Now it's
Because
transactional,
yes, it's transactional, it's conditional. Well, I did this, you didn't, I expected this. You're expecting a certain reaction. That's a thermostat. Not a thermostat. That's a thermometer. You're expecting things to move based off of this action and this and that, and it's supposed to change and evolve. You should be happy with who you are before you go into any relationship. You don't go into relationships to okay, I'm good. I'm going to be happy now. Were you happy before? You should be happy with who you are. You should be in love with who you are first, because that person's sole job is not to make you happy and to make you feel loved. You should feel loved because you feel love, because you love yourself. You should feel, that certain level of joy within yourself because you have it, and you add to each other. You add to each other. If you don't tell me I'm pretty tomorrow, I still know I'm fine when I look in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I don't need you to tell me. And that it's like you said, it's transactional. It's like, oh, you didn't tell me. You think I'm ugly, don't you? Or I believe that I'm not attractive because you didn't tell me.
Right.
So that's you know what I'm saying? That's a thermometer, because you're regulating yourself based off of what someone else is doing. You're behaving and adjusting to what you're getting. You're all over the place. You're all over the place. And you cannot properly love anybody else because it's like you said, it's all transactional. It's all conditional. Everything you're doing, you're doing it with the expectation of a response, and you want them to do and do and do to keep you happy. That's nobody's responsibility, is to give you all of your happiness. They're supposed to add. It's supposed to be an addition. It's not their responsibility to make you feel self-worth and love. You're supposed
Right.
to, have that, because otherwise it becomes a codependent relationship. And there you have that. So a lot of people have the wrong definition of codependency in a relationship. Codependent means the person I'm with is deficient in something.
Okay.
So I'm therefore going to lessen myself to feed what they need. I'm going to put myself on the back burner, and I don't want them to feel bad about this thing they're deficient in. So I'm going to, in a sense, dim my light to not make them feel worse about what they're deficient in. So a codependent person will stay with a toxic person who has bad behavior, because they don't want to make them feel, well, who are they going to have if I'm not here? I've been that person. Well, what are they going to do without me? They're going to crumble if they don't have me. And so I'm putting things I want to do in my life on the back burner. Not going for what I want to go for, and not traveling and doing all the things I want to do. I'm putting things on, my bucket list. I'm okay. I guess I'll never be able to do that because he don't like that. My ex-husband he was worrywart. He's afraid of getting on ships, like boats. He don't do the water. I've never been on a cruise, right? And people always say, you never on a cruise, right? Never on a cruise. He's afraid. He's like, what if we drown? What if it crashes and we drown into the ocean? What if we don't? So we're not living, because you're living in the what if. We couldn't go
Right.
horseback riding. What if we fall off and we become paralyzed? I'm never getting on a horse. I've been on horses many, many times and he refused. So when you are codependent, you will just stop doing stuff. You'll stop living because it makes them comfortable. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Oh,
you
yeah.
will never do the things and you will never bring it up. So you kind of dim who you are to make them comfortable. And you would just kind of take a back seat in life. And it makes them feel comfortable. It makes them feel okay and safe. And it doesn't highlight those areas of deficiency for them. So it doesn't put them in a position to even heal it, and say, I need to improve in this area. You just let them stay there. You let them stay in their deficiency. And you just kind of like, okay, well, all right, well, I just leave it alone. I just leave it alone. That's codependency, right?
Right.
So there's no progress in it. One person neither one of you are really living, and one person needs to
Nope.
grow and isn't because you're not calling it out. You ever seen somebody who has bad behavior and they have a mom or a dad or a cousin that's just like, oh, well, that's how my son is. And so whatever he did in a relationship, ain't gonna do with me. That's just how our daughter is. No. So you're in a sense enabling, the behavior and allowing it to just keep going without calling it out, but also suppressing what you need and putting your needs on the back burner. So when you talk about the self-love and, being able to be a good person and just grow in that aspect, they could just keep doing that if it's never, okay, we gotta unearth this. We gotta set this out. We have to look at this. I know it's ugly. I know you don't like it, but it's really important that you do this for you. So you can be a good person. You can be a better
Right.
person so that you can heal. You can have some joy in your life. And also that's not fair to me either. It's not fair to me either because I have, I made some things dormant in my life or some feelings and things like that to keep you comfortable in your dysfunction. So it's a very dysfunctional kind of thing, but it works for some people because it's comfortable. It's
Right.
comfortable. And they'll never move out of it. I don't know if you ever seen that movie, I Am Sam,
Yeah.
with Sean Penn, right? And you remember
Right.
he was special needs and he had a daughter and he was
Right.
he had his daughter and they were saying she's going to get to a place where she's going to surpass him in intellect and she's going to start making mistakes on purpose in school. You remember that part? And they
Mm-hmm.
said we need to take her from him because I think they say he had the mentality of a 6-year-old, 6 or 7,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. And they said once she hits that age, what's that? I think like they saying like first grade, she was
Right.
going to start to not make him feel bad about what he didn't know.
Dim her light.
She dimmed her light.
Yeah.
That is the actual literal representation of a codependent relationship. That's what she was doing. To not make her daddy feel dumb because she knew more than him. She started making mistakes on purpose. So it didn't highlight what he was missing. So she just dimmed hers instead,
Wow.
So it happens in relationships all the time.
I got a first question. Trey Ferg says, he says that how about couples having interdependency?
Interdependency, that can be a bad thing. It kind of depends on, the context, right?
Right.
Because let's talk about the codependency, right? Certain things. Y'all can do that to each other. One person can have, something like that. And you can be like, well, that's just what they be doing. And then you could have something. So in a sense, it comes down to comfort. Now, on a positive note, y'all can have something, where you feed into something great, about each other. You know what I'm saying? So it
Right.
kind of depends on the context, but interdependency could be a negative thing if you both have a deficiency and you're both not putting that person in position for healing, and you both start to lessen yourselves instead of talking about it. So interdependency, it can kind of go both ways. So that's a good question. So it just kind of depends. It kind of depends. You got to be really, really careful with that.
Mm.
Sometimes we love our person so much, we don't want to make them feel bad for their shortcomings and their
Right.
faults. We always okay. But when you recognize it to a point where it's hurtful to you, that's when it's like, okay, this is not okay. Well, you can see they're hurting maybe themselves emotionally, running themselves into the ground, whatever that is, not taking care of themselves, or it's hurting you, or maybe someone in the house, maybe your children. You can see that it's time to bring that behavior out, like to the forefront and talk about it. And it really may be that. So, and here's another thing with interdependency. So where it can feel positive, but it's actually negative. The person who dims the light, they feel needed. They feel important because I'm here for you and everything. It feeds a certain something in you because
Right.
no one understands them but me. Y'all leave them alone. This is who they are. This is how they are. Let them stay that way.
That's the cake person. I bought this cake.
Right. And you know what? I got you, babe. You can. So let's take the cake thing, right? Where the allergic to the strawberries. She could in turn be like, it's okay, babe. And tell because somebody could be like, why would you do that? It's okay. You know what? I appreciate you. And yada, yada, yada. So instead of making them accountable in their moment or just communicating, that now this, I'm allergic, right? You'll make excuses for them so that they don't have to grow. They don't have to look at what happened. And for some people, that definitely feeds their ego too, because they feel needed. And it solidifies their spot as important. Yep, I'm here. Even though you have dimmed your light 50 times. You feel important because they value you, because you're not putting them in a position to grow. You're not making them uncomfortable where they have to do something. They have to look at the ugly things in their life. So yeah, they gonna stick with you. They're gonna stick with you. Because you don't challenge them to be better, because you let them stay in it. So in
Right.
that regard, it can be very interdependent, because now it's feeding something for you. You feel important, right? And it's it's us against the world, babe. You know what I'm saying? And don't let them say those things about you. I got you. When in actuality, your person is they traumatizing everybody around them, and you don't even know that's actually traumatizing you too. You look at that with, huh?
Isn't that selfish on the person who's allowing them to do it?
It
So they
is.
don't let them leave. You know what I'm saying?
It's extremely selfish. So when he says the interdependency in that regard, yep, it's extremely selfish, because it feeds you in some way, because you feel like I'm important. This is my person. Maybe they don't want to be alone. And they're like, well, this person don't want me to go nowhere. Of course, I don't want you to go nowhere, because you keep them comfortable in their dysfunction. So everybody is getting something out of this. They don't have to change. You get to feel important. They're going to keep making you feel important, because they don't have to change when they're with you. And everybody else is acknowledging, hey, you need to, you need to work on that, bro. And whatever, they can go home to you and be like, let me tell you what happened today. And they all tell me about it, babe. And you on their side. I can't believe they did you like that. They said what to you? Not going, what? What did you do? Well, what did you say though?
You know how many bad advice conversations I heard when people say that I don't care if your woman wrong or not. You supposed to let them know you got her back. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-mm.
No,
Mm-mm.
that ain't how you do that, man.
Mm-mm. I've been in that space in relationships where my ex-husband would be talking and I'd be sitting listening to him. You said what to that lady at work? Yeah. And I'm like, and he's like, I just don't feel like you even support me. No, I'm supporting you by letting you know you could have had a better response. I'm not going to come at you, but you could have had a better response. Let's talk about some different ways, because you're going to encounter conflict everywhere you go. Let's talk about some different ways that you could respond to that, where you can still say what you need to say and you still stay in bounds. And now you're not the bad person, because now you're the bad person. Okay. So when you just, yeah, babe, yeah, Karen did what you at work? Yeah, babe. Oh, that's messed up. Because sometimes y'all be doing it. Y'all just be listening to us talk and y'all be like, what? Oh no. Yeah, halftime, some do they ain't even listening. They just like,
Be
oh man,
zoned out. You know what I'm saying? Let her
that's
get it out.
messed
She'll
up.
run out of gas in a
And
minute,
she
you
like,
know?
and yeah. And so what? I showed up 30 minutes late to work, and she gonna write me up. And what? That's messed up. Yeah, she got wrote up because she she showed up 30 minutes late to work. So sometimes when you say selfish, we love the position we have in people's lives because sometimes we have a dysfunction and it feeds that dysfunction. It feeds that empty space. Now we feel important. Somebody
Needed,
loves me.
appreciated. You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody
Some,
appreciate me like you do,
I,
baby.
I got a woman. I got a man. We feel some this. I
That's
ain't
married
single.
now.
Y'all single. I'm not. But look at the dysfunction y'all have, right?
Right.
So with the interdependence, one person has the bad behavior, one person allows it, it feeds them. To them, they win it. Everybody is looking at them like, what is going on here? what is
Right.
what is no. I had I knew a girl. She had gotten married, and he was abusive before they got married. They were dating. They broke up like 3 times. He was abusive every time. He committed. I'm gonna be better. I'm not gonna. And I was at the wedding, and they said their vows, and she's crying. She said, "I need you to be better, okay?" And he said, "I will." No, right back to the abusive behavior. And when people would show up, she calling people, "Oh my gosh!" And he put his hands on me. People would show up. She don't touch him. They like, whoa, wait a minute. You acknowledge the bad behavior.
So many times.
Yeah, you know that what it is, but you want to protect them because you don't want them to feel bad about what they did, but you're on the receiving end. So a lot of people don't always understand that. So when you look at that, even it doesn't have to be physical abuse. People do that to each other every day. I'm on the receiving end of your bad behavior, but I don't want to make you feel bad about it. So I'm gonna let you keep doing it. And every time she would call the police or whatever, by the time they make it, she's like, "Don't take him to jail. No, let him go."
I love him.
And they'd be like, "Ma'am, one of y'all going to jail. We came out here. When are y'all going to jail? Which one of y'all going in cuffs?" He'd be like, "Just, just take me. It's okay." And so he would go, and then he would get out, and she's like, "Oh, babe, I love you so much, yada yada yada." And they would go right back to the relationship. A week later, she was calling family and or police again. That went on for years before, that marriage is no more. And he became increasingly abusive, and it was wild, where he tried to take her life, or threatened to take her life, very, very intentional and not, he didn't mince words at all, and so thank God she's no longer in that space. But for that, like I said, she felt important. So it was codependency, but I could see how you could qualify that as interdependent. It fed something for her. She had somebody that said that they loved her. She wasn't alone. Um, she was able to go around and say, "Yes, I have a husband. I
Mm.
got a husband," you know. And but
That was
in
a
reality,
toxic symbiotic
uh,
relationship,
I'm telling you, yes. When we talk about things being symbiotic, it was symbiotic. Oh, it was symbiotic, all right, in such a in such a
in the
negative,
worst way.
destructive, super destructive. Um, and it's unfortunately that's the way it is. So, like I said, I have the unique position where I see the behavior and I'm able to dissect it in a way that's not judgmental. So I can break it down and allow people to kind of see themselves like, come on now, let's look at this. Look at the behavior and look at how you're responding to said behavior. What do you want? Like, what is your ideal thing that you would love to have happen in this relationship every day? Now, is that what's happening? Are they trying to make that happen? If they're not putting forth the effort to move forward and make that change, y'all, this may not be a thing. And one of my key phrases, because I do have a short, I say short term, but it's probably long term goal of writing a book on communicating in conflict, and, just effective communication.
Right.
And when you you talk about, okay, this is what's going on, it's really, really important that you highlight the things without, you ain't got to attack, but it's really, really important that you just don't, brush them over. Everything you say should be able to be delivered in love, and so that it can be easily digestible. And if a person still takes that and refuses to make the changes, then one thing that I do say is likability and compatibility are two totally different things.
You better
I can
say
like
it.
you, I can like you all day long. You can be the finest thing I ever seen. Guess what? We cannot be compatible at all, because my level of, just how I operate. It could be simple as religion. It could be as simple as finance and how we handle those. It could be as simple as children. Do you want children? Do you not? You got kids out like me. I got 2 grown kids. My son is 23 today, right? My kid's
Happy
21,
birthday.
23. Somebody say, oh, I don't have any kids and I want a baby. I'll be 45 in about 3 weeks. I don't know.
That's not good for me.
No, it's not. I can't put that on my schedule. I don't think I can do that. We can adopt though, so you really have to look at that and say, it's okay. What I need and what you need is 2 totally different things. And it's just, it's not going to work. You're a good person. I'm a good person. And
Right.
this is going to work. And it's okay. But when you get into that hardcore toxic behavior, listen, this is what you're doing. That is not going to work for me. This is actually hurting me and causing me to go backwards. And I'm becoming somebody totally different in response to you, and because it's a coping mechanism. We adjust, and the interdependency, the codependency, that's a coping mechanism. And now
Absolutely.
I've developed a rhythm with you to cope, because I'm trying to keep you here, because I'm trying to stay with you. And it can just become a lifestyle for some people, and they don't know how to get off the cycle, and it becomes so normal. They don't even see it as toxic. They don't see it as abusive. They just like, I don't know what y'all talking about. I don't, what are you talking about? Right. And everybody else on the outside in is like, you see a lot of that with abusive relationships where, they'll be like, see, y'all just can't stand seeing me happy. And they're like, no, we see some
You're
things
just
going on.
jealous,
Yeah. And then you realize they've moved you away from your family. You don't have anybody around. They turn you against your friends. You don't talk to anybody. And then now you're trying to get off the ride, and you can't get off the ride because you're stuck. And now nobody will deal with you because you didn't kick everybody to the curb and every bridge you got. Stuff like that happens so often. And the root of that is codependent behavior. And for those who just don't see it, they just don't see it. It's comfortable. They're hopeful every day. Well, he's going to be better tomorrow. And make no bones about it. Women can have some narcissistic behaviors. A female narcissist looks different than a male narcissist.
Tell me about it.
It's very, very different. Women narcissists can be very just extra bossy. You can't please them whatsoever. It's different. It's just different. Male narcissist.
Hold on, your mic go out.
Uh-oh. Is it back?
I don't know.
Hold on. Let me see.
I hope your battery didn't die.
No. My mic is still out. I know
Yeah, it's still out.
Hold on. Let me mute and then come back. Okay, is it still out?
Yep.
Hold on. Let me check.
You didn't kick the cord, did you?
No. I had a call come in and it
Oh yeah, that's what it is. You gotta let that thing finish ringing, man.
it disconnected me.
There
Hold
you
on.
go.
Let
There
me
you go. You back.
reset.
You back. We can hear you.
We good?
Yeah, we
fix
good.
it? No, I
Yeah,
didn't.
you good.
Okay, we're good now.
Yeah, you good.
I just flipped it to default and flipped it back to speakerphone, and we're good. That's what it was. I had a video call come through on Facebook, and my phone is on do not disturb, and it knock my audio out. What was I saying? It was good. Whatever.
Codependency.
Um, yeah, I see the
You
missed
said a
call. I thought
female
about it.
narcissist is different.
Oh yeah, okay. So we're talking about narcissists because with narcissism, all the root of it is, I mean, you're gonna have manipulative behavior.
Right.
Um, Nobody's trauma is bigger than theirs. No one's stuff is more important than them. Their goals and all that is at the forefront. You got to take a back seat. If you try to even be on equal playing field, they feel, a narcissist will tell you real quick, you're a narcissist. You got control issues
Right.
because they're out of control. They like to be in control. So a male narcissist is it's a totally different thing. Women narcissists skate by easier because it's not so like bam in your face where it's, sometimes the physical abuse can be there, the mental abuse, but they will have you really feeling like you're inadequate. You can never satisfy them, when
Right.
it comes to just life. No matter what you do, it's not good enough. You've done all the things. You pay attention to her, you did, you give the gifts, you do all the things, and it's I guess, okay. So it's a little different because you just walk away feeling really, really inadequate, and you kind of get down on yourself, and it kind of messes with your self-worth. Male narcissists will lock you in when you feel like you in jail and you can't, you can't
They'll
get
take you out of the state. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. And so women narcissists typically fly under the radar a little bit easier because it's not so big and bold, like that. And they're, you even look at physical stature, they're not so domineering. She'll be the one that's always like, I'm a hit on you. You bet not hit me back. You hit me,
Right.
I dare you to hit
You
me.
gonna
But
hit
she
a
ain't got no
woman?
problem doing all. Keep your hands to yourself. Ladies, keep your hands to yourself. She ain't got no problem on a regular basis provoking and doing all this or whatever. And
Right.
I've seen some guys just take it like, yeah, she be hitting on me. She just mad. And that they be all in 411. You know what I'm saying? Man.
Right.
you you this tall, and you got that man shook. And it's all about control a lot of times. And most narcissists have a lot of trauma, a lot of unhealed trauma. There's
Right.
always a lot of times there's a sad, sad story. And no one's story can be sadder than theirs, or else you are so selfish. And I've been through this in my life, and you telling me about this, and that's nothing. Let me tell you what happened to me in 1998. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It all comes back to them. So there's a level of self-centeredness that is always present, right? So it's always about them. So, in that regard, yeah, that's a whole nother thing when we start talking about codependency, because you may find yourself in a codependent space and didn't even know. It's really easy to end up in a codependent relationship with a person like that, because sometimes the really, really good people are the easiest to get wrapped up in that, because as good people, they say, psychotherapists say that people from good family backgrounds are the easiest to end up in relationships with narcissists, like stuck.
Like magnets.
Yes, because we have so much good, and we want you to experience that. It's almost like that whole fixer complex, right? They come to you, they have all this trauma. You're just like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry that happened to you. And you almost want to go on a crusade to show them, yes, there are loving. I want you to experience real love. I have that, and I can show that to you. And they just suck it up. And now you find yourself dimming your light, right?
Right.
Because it's definitely not symbiotic. It's definitely not symbiotic. So you can get stuck out of fear, or it's because, well, I feel important, as long as I'm here, they're happy. No, they should be happy when you walk out the door.
Right.
They throwing a fit. They got to know, well, you said you was going to be here at 5:15. It is 5:16. Where have you been? That stuff like, mm-mm. And you giving excuses, that type of thing. There's a level of control they have, and you're not important unless you're sitting with them. Um, that's so they kind of go hand in hand a lot of times. Codependency isn't always about narcissism. but narcissism is definitely my codependency. You know, you can be codependent on someone who has a physical disability. You know, you may not go and do things because maybe your partner can't. So you don't want to make them feel bad. So you may stop living life because, well, they can't do it. They're in a wheelchair. So I want to go do this and that. You know, well, I want to learn how to swim, or I want to do this, and well, they can't do it. So I just won't do that. I won't do that. So you'll just kind of take things off of your, you know, your goal
Bucket
list, your
list.
bucket
Yeah.
list for life,
Yeah.
simply for that. So it isn't always, you know, where you can just flip flop them like that. But narcissism is definitely about codependency. They love to rope you in, make you feel like you're the most important person. They can't live without you, and you'll feel important until you don't, until you realize, you know, this isn't good. By that time, they claws in you, and they, oh my, but if you leave, then what? I mean, no one loves me except for you. What's
Right.
going to happen when you're gone? And you know
I'll
what?
never know love again. You know.
Yes, and I guess yeah, I heard all that. I just die, and you know that where everybody hates me. I've never known love in my life, and but you though, and for the person we talked, the interdependent person, they may feel like, oh, really? Until they wise up and realize this isn't healthy, and I'm ready to get off the ride now. Can you please, someone stop the roller coaster, please? Let me off the Ferris wheel.
Right.
I'm done with this. I'm tired. I'm tired. And until you tired, like really, really tired, nothing's going to change. So at the end of the day, like I said, all of it is just, it's about self-awareness. You got to know yourself. You got to know yourself. Both parties. You got to be able to, you know, put forth that effort and be willing to do the work. Because you can know stuff all day long. You can know you jacked up. You can know you need to go to therapy. You can know you need to change this and that and the third. But if you're not willing to do the work, nothing changes if nothing changes. So
Absolutely.
if you can't even make a small change for yourself, but at the very least for your partner, you know, then you can in turn, you can't blame anybody that the relationship didn't work or that they're even unhappy because did you really put forth that effort? Did you really do the work? Can you look yourself in the mirror and say that you did, that you tried, that you did the work? And some people cannot say that, and some people are too comfortable where they just like, that's so far-fetched for them. That's so
Right.
far-fetched for them that they cannot even fathom that they have to I have to change something. And that's when they, you know, go into that crush. See, you trying to change me. You know who I was when you got with me. You know,
That's
you knew
right.
you knew I was like this. You knew I'd be in the streets. You knew you met me in the I hate people say you met me in the club. So how
I mean,
you
you know what this is. You know what this was. Come on now.
when I see guys tell women, girl, you met me in the club. Of course I'm still in the streets. Of course I'm doing this. I mean, look where you met me. You know I'm not gonna. So they use it as a crutch to not be better. You know, they develop families. You know, you have children, and they still continue with the bad behavior. Sit in the streets. You know, they drinking, they doing this, that, and the third. She's like, okay, that was cool when we didn't have dependence. We didn't have a family. Now we're supposed to be, as you said, evolving. We're supposed to be growing. And you're doing the same things. I'm growing, and all the burden of the growing is on me because I'm here. And you're not committed to doing that. And so that, you know who I was when you got with me? Women do it too, you know. I mean, a lot of people do it when they have tempers because it comes from, like we said, unhealed things. Yeah, I got a temper. You know, yep. That's just, you know, that's what it is. You know, I've, you know, been in that space, you know, in a relationship where they were like, we yelled in our house. That's how we handle conflict. You know, we yelled, and, you know, we would have family meeting and we would scream and yell, yada, 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 we hammer it out. And then we all go, you know, we go to our rooms and all is well. What? That was so foreign to me. I was like, absolutely not. Now, it doesn't mean my family is perfect. We didn't talk about stuff. We just let stuff be. And we just knew,
Mhm.
you know. So not saying it was perfect for me either, but we may change the behavior and not talk about it and have the acknowledgement. That
Right.
was that was what I grew up in. So if we did talk about it, we talked about it. But sometimes it was just known, from so-and-so said, blah, blah, blah. Dang, okay. We didn't always go back. And this is what the adults did. This is what I saw. They didn't always go back and make it right, but they would just change. They would change the behavior. That's what I saw. So I saw, well, let me just change the behavior. We don't have to have the conversation, maybe, but I'll change the behavior. But you got to say it nice to me. You can't yell and scream at me. So we had two different dynamics going on. You yelling at, why you yelling and screaming at me? Oh, I'm not going to change nothing. I don't hear nothing you're saying because who you talking to like
Right.
that?
You take
And
your time to
so,
play.
right. It was like, it was already a stretch for me to hear, for somebody to bring to me that they saw something negative about me. That was, I was like, oh my gosh, what? You noticed something bad about me and you're telling me about it. That it just made me feel like, really, really bad. So, but you screaming at me? Oh no. So, but even in that was a really hard thing to do, to say, okay, I have to still see what they're talking about. The delivery is jacked up. That's their issue, is the delivery. Doesn't mean that they're wrong in how they feel. Their issue is working on delivery. My issue is we didn't yell and scream and deal with conflict in a proper way either. So I don't know how to handle conflict either. Neither one of us knew how to handle conflict properly. It was
Right.
silence on my end, yelling on this end. Neither one of those is effective, right? So
Right.
when you have that acknowledgement and you just kind of, like I said, you just got to commit to say, we got to fix it. We got to do better with this. This ain't working.
Yeah, we can't just keep offering each other food. You hungry? You hungry? Let's go eat. And then let that solve the problem. Next thing your cortisol messed up, you know what I'm saying? Cholesterol messed up, your feet swollen, and then you get in the bedroom and you're mad at each other, you know what I'm saying? Because you can't do that no more.
Both of y'all got to have
You yelling at the other one.
because y'all only losing is you hungry.
Right.
Yeah.
You yelling at the other one. The other one talking about some.
Oh, you gotta get in that hunk too and spit on that.
And you over there asking each other lame questions, talking about some.
Swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed up?
I'm telling you, they'll be so,
Right.
you talk to someone, you did so-and-so today. No. In actuality, y'all, there's some conversation needs to be had in there. There's just is
Right.
not happening. You can't skate around it. So, having effective communication is so important. But you really gotta, there's a lot of inner work, a lot of self work that a lot of people got to do. And just the way social media is now, and the fact that anybody can get on this app or any other app and say anything.
All right.
It has caused, oh my gosh, things to just spiral, in a way, because everybody may not hold you accountable. There's somebody else out there bitter. He's going to be like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. No. Both of y'all need to be in therapy yesterday.
But we love that toxic stuff. You know what I'm saying? That fuel, that rage that's already in them.
Yeah, it allows you just to be carnal and act in your emotions without emotional intelligence and responsibility. You can just do what you want to do. And we love an amen corner. Somebody else going, yeah, girl, or yeah, bro, that's what I'm talking about. Allows you to still stay with the armor and the comfort space that we talked about.
Right.
Somebody making you feel like, yup, what I would have did. That's when, and when you get that high five, like that, it validates the bad behavior. And you like, whatever, I did what I did. I said what I said, and it is what it is. Because, now you got somebody making you feel like it's okay. And a lot of people don't have enough people holding them accountable with their bad behavior. You got friends who know you're doing this, that, and the third, and they just like, they ain't got nothing to do with me. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Your homeboy is putting hands on his wife, you should be saying something. Your homegirl doing her husband dirty, you should be saying something to her. Like, hey, you know what? You can't keep doing that. I did a friend like that. She was always yelling at her husband.
Wow.
And we were the same age. We were in our 20s. And he wasn't the best. I'm not saying he was the best. We were all young. We were all married. They were married straight out of high school at 18. We're also she had a good 4 years on me married. And we were about at this time 22, 23. And so, yeah, was he perfect? Was he doing a lot of stuff jacked up? He absolutely was jacked. He was messing it up. He was messing up. But he wasn't a bad guy. But just because you're not a bad person doesn't make you a good partner. You can be a
Maybe he
good
was
person.
trying too hard.
You can be a good person and you can be a bad partner. So he just wasn't he just wasn't doing what he needed to do. And she was verbally just that shit was going. And I said, you need to stop yelling at that man. Because he's not listening to you. He's not going to fix anything because you're verbally going at him. It doesn't make him right in what he's doing. But it makes you wrong in your approach. So do you want to yell or do you want the progress? Because that's two different things. Because if you just want to be heard, you can yell all day long. You want to be heard, that's fine. You keep screaming, right? Do you want the progress? Because if you want him to change the behavior, you have to change how you address that thing. And you can still stay in the right and let them know that this is, your behavior is not okay. And so I was just like, listen, you quit yelling at that man because she was like, he just get on my nerves so bad. And I was like, I've been listening to you yell at him for 3 years. And he ain't changed nothing. Is it working? Is it helping? She was like, no. I mean, no, nothing's improving. And I was like, okay, you got to find a different way for you to talk to him. Because now y'all both you're just going round and round. Y'all in the merry-go-round. It's just going round and round like this. And that nothing is happening. And so she actually just kind of took heed to what I said. And we didn't talk about it for a while. And she came to me and she's like, I listened to what you said and we've developed some better practices. She said, when we go to bed at night now, I tell him, hey, babe, I really appreciate when you did such and such today. That was really helpful to me. And I thank you for that. So she would acknowledge something good that he had done. And she's like, so, and he would, give an opportunity or whatever, yeah, no problem. And, I appreciate you, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Can we talk about, some things that we didn't like today with each other? Okay. It would really be helpful to me if you would not do X, Y, Z. They kind of made me feel a certain type of way or you kind of threw the schedule off. It was very specific, that one, I just, can you, this right here, that would be, I would appreciate if you would not do that. And he's like, okay, I'll take heed to that. And she said, I would tell him, so is there anything you have a problem with me about today? Is there anything that you want to talk about? And if he said no, okay, I love you. Good night. They kiss and
And
go
let
to
it
bed.
go.
I said, that's fire right there. I just want you to know. That's bomb. And we, at that point in time, we were about 26, 27. That's an amazing awareness to have in your 20s to adopt
really
that
is.
strategy. After the day is done and y'all laying in the bed, the kids are, are laid down and bathed, they sleep, to say, is there anything you want to talk about today? From the day, anything? So it gave him a voice as well, and it wasn't all, it wasn't like that. Or one person coming at the other where he's unhappy with her, she's unhappy with him, and gave them both a platform to, in love, say, that I just would really appreciate if you could do this. And, they really kind of frustrated me when you did that. So they made a commitment. We're not going to yell about it. We're going to talk to each other. We're laying in the bed. We're face to face on our sides. We're going to talk to each other. And they gave each other the floor, and they kind of had some dialogue if need be. Or sometimes she would just say, babe, is there anything we need to talk about today before we go to sleep? No. You got anything? No. Good night. Fine. But if there was, it was okay.
That is a skill. Let me tell you, in management, they teach us that you say something good, then something that needs an opportunity that needs to be fixed, and then you say something good after that. You want to make a sandwich. You know what I'm saying? To help the medicine go down. Because if you say something good and then you hit them with the bad, and you don't follow up with the good again, every time you say something good, they're gonna be looking at your side. I was like, what you want now?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You telling me something good, you about to come back, you about to complain about me, you about to tell me something bad. So
Right.
yeah, they always ended it with, well, okay, I'll work on that, or I'll work on that, when we're gonna be better tomorrow and I love you, and that's how they
Right.
would end the night. And I just was like,
So I appreciate what you did.
it's kind of
Here's
dope.
the opportunity. And come here, let me give you some sugar. You know what I'm saying? That
And
make
by the end of
everything
the
all
night,
right. That's like
have a
slipping
good night.
in, you know?
Yeah, I was like, that's kind of dope. And looking back at that now, in our 40s, because
Yeah.
we're both 44, getting ready to be 45. I'm like, that was 20 years ago. That's super dope. That
Do you know how many relationships could have been saved if people just knew that one little technique?
that one little thing. And I
Yeah.
just remember her telling me that, and I was like, she was just sharing it. And she told me that, she said, I remember that day you yelled at me and told me stop yelling at my husband. That's what I mean when I talk about accountability.
Right.
I could have said, this is a person that's close to me. I'm not finna yell at her. I don't want to be mad at me. And that's not responsibility. No. She remembers. She said, I remember that day you yelled at me and told me stop yelling at my husband. She said, and that kind of humbled me some.
Let me ask you, was it your tone that she was upset with?
No, it wasn't because I just don't possess a really aggressive tone.
I'm just asking because people accuse me of saying it's your tone, it's how you say it. I don't know what you're telling me. I'm the smoothest
It
brother
is.
you know.
Well, I'm
You know?
gonna tell you why it is in a second. But no, for me, I just said her name, in love. And I think maybe because my tone was like, because we was like, then I was like, I said her name and I said, girl, stop yelling at your husband. He not listening to you. I said it, in that way where
Yeah.
it was, you could tell it was love still in it. I wasn't attacking. So a lot of times, like I said, your delivery does matter, but I wasn't aggressive. I just, my voice just doesn't do that. I yell at people. They don't
You know
know. They
you're
don't
right.
know I'm yelling. They be like, oh, you were screaming at me. Oh, I didn't know at all. You was really mad. And I'm like, yeah. I've heard people tell me all the time, I could be pissed. And they be like, I had no idea. That was what you look like when you pissed. That was your voice when you pissed. Yes.
Yeah, that was grace.
I was
That's what that
furious.
was.
They have no idea. When people truly see me angry, they get scared because that's not my norm. So I don't know. I guess it was a relationship though that we had. So she was able to receive it from me a little bit better. Possibly. And then she was able to take that, digest it and say, okay, I got to find a better way because we're not getting nowhere. And then I ended up I adopted that at one point in time. I adopted that practice and I did find that it was effective somewhat, but it turned into 4-hour argument sessions in the dark. And I was like, okay, this is not working.
Oh, Lord.
It turned into more lengthy argument sessions. Like I said, both parties have to be willing.
Right.
They have to be open. So, like we were talking about love languages, right? Even with
Right.
that, you'll have people, like from my experience, was they love language. That don't exist. That's not a thing. It's not a thing. This is what I need from you, and I need you to do it. This is what I do, and you don't do this, so you couldn't possibly love me for real. You must have something going on. Because he was a words of affirmation, very much so. And I wasn't, in the beginning, I wasn't. So it was like, what's wrong with you? And yada, yada, it was like that. So when I started learning, that's why I value the love language topic so much. I learned a lot about myself and I started sharing that information. That's not a thing. That don't exist. You made that up as an excuse. So you ain't got to do what it is that I need you to do. Huh? I was
Mm-hmm.
no, and I'm like, no, I'm learning and I'm lining up our personalities with these things. And I can kind of see myself and kind of where I am in this. And I kind of see you. And it just helped me have a better understanding of my partner. I was able to actually adjust. I started adjusting a little easier because I had understanding. But it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't reciprocal. But if a person be like, that's not a thing. that is not a thing, and they're not willing to do the work, then they just kind of see it as silly, you know.
Right.
So, but that was an amazing practice for her to do. So this tools, y'all, tools. So try that if you feel like things are really, really tense with y'all. Um, just do it, you know, don't do it in that moment. Things that, you know, everything is tense, emotions running high, and you, because you're gonna pop off. Just kind of save it. Babe, I kind of really want to talk to you about something. You know, get your voice together. Because if you coming off aggressive, that closes the ears, and the ears connected to the heart. They're not going to be able to really, really take in what you're saying enough to be like, I have to, let me keep this. Because I value you, and I have to internalize and digest this, and I have to make the change. So getting into that space of, you're in a place of gentleness with each other. You're in a place of vulnerability. You're in the bed. It's just y'all face to face, no external things. And you can really talk in love. That's so important to say, you know, I feel like that was kind of disrespectful, you know, today. And words matter to me. I always say this. When you say what you did was disrespectful, change that up. When you did such and such, it made me feel disrespected, because that takes the accusation away, and it allows what you're saying to be received better, because
Right.
you saying you was disrespectful to me today when you did such and such. Whoop. When you did this, I felt disrespected, or it made me feel disrespected. Made me feel like you really wasn't honoring, or, you know, paying attention to what I needed. Um, Maybe that wasn't your intention, but I felt disrespected when you did such and such. They can say, okay, well, yeah, that wasn't my intention. Well, I didn't mean make you feel that way. Well, okay, well, all right then. You know, I won't do that anymore. You see how easy it is to kind of,
Right. You keep the focus on the action and not
yeah,
the person.
because
Because
when you start
if the
labeling
person
somebody,
becomes disrespectful, then
mhm,
that person is disrespect
yep,
instead of the act. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Hey, let's
because
talk about this action.
because you're telling me I'm a disrespectful person by saying, you know, you was disrespecting
Right.
me today, like I did it on purpose. And when someone feels like you coming for them, that can make them feel a certain type of way. It can.
Absolutely.
Well, okay, we were talking about voice. You were asking, what is that about? With the When you said, people say it's your tone.
Yeah.
Um, and I always say, this is, you know, we talk about double standards with men and women, and how some things are imbalanced. And this is one of those things that people just don't talk enough about. Men, well, no, I won't even say men. When your partner says something to you, that thing can cut deep. Somebody in the street can say the same thing, and you'll be like,
You're
what?
supposed to love me.
Somebody in the street can call you out your name, and you can be like, they tripping. Your partner can say something, they ain't even got to cuss at you. They can say something to you, and you'll be like, I can't, why would you say that to me? So it feels different anyway, because of the relationship, because you're they know your deepest secrets, right? They're the person that you're the most vulnerable with. Vulnerability means your hands open like this. It means your heart is exposed, right? You're vulnerable. Remember,
Right.
no armor. That means they can take a dagger right here if they want to. And it only takes a little bit for your partner to be able to, you know, to do that, right? To make you feel that
Right.
way. And so a lot of times our words cut deep. Even for, I've known some men that be like, I love my wife to death. I've never been this vulnerable with anybody. She said this one thing to me. My feelings was hurt for 3 days. Like I couldn't even talk to her. I didn't even know how to process what she said. That hurt me so bad. I'm like, what did she say? And I'm like, okay. If someone on the street said that to you, how do you feel? They're like, about me at all. I'm like, it's like, but so even a teeny tiny woman can crush, right? Can crush somebody, because if there's the vulnerability there, like, oh, why would you say that to me? But even for men, y'all have a certain gravity that's just in your voice. There is a certain level of authority that is built into your voice. That's why your voice is a little deeper. And sometimes y'all can say regular stuff, and we be like, oh, Why would you say that?
Right. That's that gravitas.
Why
As
would
they
you
say.
say that to me? So I always, share with men that, of course, I'm not a person that is going to 100%, be like, oh, that there are no double. There are absolutely some double standards between men and women, and some of them are completely okay. Some are not okay, but some are. And those are one of those things when we talk about, authority. It doesn't mean that you a boss or dictator, but it does mean that yes, you're leading, and when a person leads effectively, there's some power in their voice. People listen to them. Your word and your voice has weight. So you can say something very simple to somebody, especially a woman, and it can kind of cut and sting a little deep, and it can seem mean. So y'all have to be really sometimes really careful with how you deliver it. If you know that your partner or person has said that, you just gotta like, this ain't fair, but I gotta wrap my stuff up in syrup before I deliver it. I gotta roll around in sugar before I say it. So, and it's just because I know from experience, from being a person who has the gift of gab and speech, and was also used to be married to somebody who had the gift of speech and influence. When that's your gift, like for you, you're a talker as well. When you're gifted to talk, where your voice has influence, it holds a certain weight in a positive way because you are purposed to affect people, right?
Right.
That can also be negative. When you have something negative to tell somebody, they can be like, oh my God. Somebody else can say the same thing. You'd be like, you didn't say they came at you. Right? What's up? Wait a minute. And it is because your voice has a certain extra something on it, because your voice is purposed for influence. And so it moves people. It's made for movement. I know, like I said, my ex-husband had it, and I know that I have it. And like I
Right.
said, for you, it's the same thing when you're just like, I know that influence and speaking to people and thoughts and all of that, it's all, wrapped up together. So your voice has a certain little extra engine in it. So when you when you say something, it moves things a little bit farther. It weights things down because it's designed to influence people. So people, it's just something that I learned gift wise. I have to be careful with, because I can
Absolutely.
unintentionally hurt someone's feelings because my voice. I know that I'm gifted to speak to people, and we just like, that's what we have to know ourselves. So if you ever feel like, man, I'm talking nice to people and I don't know what's up with these people. Some people, they just never had anybody tell them anything. That's different. Some people don't like my tell them nothing, but and that's an awareness. It's just a self-awareness that some of us who are speakers, we just have to have,
You know
because
what I
people are
noticed?
swayed.
Right. You know what I noticed? It's when men say something, it's like it's your tone, it's how you say it. And then the
Mhm.
women will turn around and say, I don't care what you said, blah, blah, blah. And they come off the handle. I'm thinking about something. Don't the same rules apply? You know what I'm saying? What is this that you're doing? I thought
They
tone
should.
matters, you know?
And it does. I think women a lot of times don't, they feel so small in physical stature, they don't
Right.
realize the power of their words as well. That, like I said, a woman's words can crush a man just the same. A man who really, you really have his heart, you can crush it real. And he could be the biggest bodybuilder on the planet, and you could be all of 4'10". You can crush that man. So I don't think women always realize how powerful their voice is.
You know
Um,
what I noticed too?
when it's somebody they're in a relationship with.
Listen, you know what I noticed too? Women who are graceful all the time have the exact same power as a man who's always calm and who knows how to deliver a message.
Mhm,
They never get out of character.
mhm.
They're always demure. It's
Yeah,
always, honey, sugar, baby, let me talk to you. Let me say something to you. You know, you sure look fine today. Oh my goodness, you smell so good. Let me tell you something about them women.
yeah.
Them women need to know how to run the world. We need
And
to press more of them out. You know what I'm
there,
saying?
there, there was
Oh my.
there was a certain caressing that is that comes with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It there's a certain level of charisma that, shows up with that. And it's a thing. It's it's a thing. Everybody just ain't
That right there,
ain't
powerful. I'm here to tell you.
my
That'll get a man to move a mountain right there. You know what I'm
my
saying?
like when you were talking about even men who are calm. That's something that I like. For me, I value the really, really loud people. Like, those are the people I'm like, what is this about? Is this an ego thing? You know how you were talking about some people, they just want to do it for themselves and to hear
Right.
themselves talk and stuff like that. My pastor once said, he said, power is strength under control. Power is not flexing your muscles. It's not telling everybody what to do. If you're married and you feel like you just, I'm just supposed to do what I said. He said, that's not what you do. They said there's a level of discipline that comes with power. It is the ultimate level of discipline because you have the position to dominate, but you don't take advantage of it. You don't take advantage of the position you have over a person. And so when you have that awareness and you can rest in that, that's why you'll see calm people. Some of your most effective leaders can sit back like this and be really, really calm and just kind of keep their cool. Like you said, they don't get out of character. You can't sway them. People will make it seem like they don't care. I've been called, what did myself? Because said I was apathetic. And I was like, I just don't have to.
Yes.
I just don't have to. I don't have to pop off. I don't do that. I don't have to be. I'm not the rah rah. I just don't do that. And so I was always the level head because I'm like, so someone has to be. Someone has to
Right.
be, right. And so there is so much more respect in that from outer people when they can see, okay, because remember, thermostat, right? So
Right.
even in your behavior, you keeping your cool. No, I'm not going to let all these external things push me out of character where I'm letting the circumstances control me and how I behave and respond. I have to keep this thing straight because nobody's in control of me but me. That's it. I can't get mad. I can't control other people. People are gonna do what they're gonna do. I can speak, I can try to influence. At the end of the day, I have no responsibility I can't lose sleep over that because they didn't, move to what I said. What I can do is control me and hold myself accountable and be responsible to me. So that is important, for people who are like that, that we um just kind of keep that, day to day. People may feel like, oh, you just let people run over. I just don't have to. I can acknowledge things and instill a certain way. But it's people will actually watch you. You never know who's watching. People watch you and have so much more respect for you because you don't get out of character, and you have no idea how powerful that is in a relationship because as a man, you are the dominant body physically, and
Right.
everything. So you are the dominant person. And so for you to, be calm like that and everything, it says something. It says he has self-control. I can rest in him. I can trust him because he has control of his emotions. I don't have to worry about how he's going to respond or how he's going to react to me. I can make a mistake and I feel safe. I can say, babe, I know you asked me such and such today. I know it was important. I forgot that. And it makes it easier for you to even have the accountability and apologize when you
Right.
know that there is a level of control with your partner because you feel safe. I can come to
Exactly.
you. I can come to you with even my mistakes and say, listen, I know you told me not to buy that purse. I know what you said, and I bought it anyway, and we in overdraft.
How much we overdraft in, babies?
We in overdraft about $75.
I'll tell
And
you,
I
go in
know,
the savings account, put it in
and
there,
see, and so
enjoy
it's.
yourself.
I remember when I first had an encounter like that. After I had been in therapy, I was in therapy for was it 2 years, straight out of my separation, and we just estranged. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, can I like my last name back? Just, come on, like we got about 30 days, right? So come on. So, but at that point, we were just estranged. You know, he's going on have relationships, and that's like 5-6 years. So we did like date and stuff like that, right? So
Yeah.
I'm in this space, and I was like, I had a grievance with somebody. And I was like, oh, I don't want to say it. I don't want to talk about it because historically, I'm accustomed to the, oh my gosh, how could you how could you do that? And I was like, oh, I automatically know that if I say this is what happened, it's going to be a problem, right? So there was one instance where we went to dinner, and I left my coat, a brand new coat. I left my coat in the restaurant in the seat, and we left. Made it all the way back to where we were going. Good 20 minutes. And I got out and I said, "Is my coat in the car?" And he said, "No." And I said, "What?" And I didn't realize because the temperature had changed. And you know, I was like, I took a coat in because it was cold in the restaurant. Where's my coat? And I just said, and I froze. And I was like, he finna lay into me. Like, I can't, how could you leave? We done made it all the way back to, you know, blah, blah, blah. And he said, okay. He said, go take all the stuff upstairs. I'm gonna pull the car around. Because he had parked and everything. So I'm gonna pull the car around. You come right back out, get in the car, okay, finna get your coat. And I was like, I literally froze. That seems so simple to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it was not. Because I was expecting, how could you do that? You got to pay attention to your surroundings, and you leaving your stuff. And how could you do that, Shereytah? You got to pay attention. And now you didn't inconvenience me, and we got to go all the way back up here, waste some gas. It was a whole
Right.
rant talking to, and I'm
Right.
just,
You had to plan that thing out in your head already in advance.
yeah. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I left my coat, and I just kind of closed my eyes. I'm waiting for the fallout, and the fallout didn't come.
Oh
And
my.
it was, oh, okay. Well, go take the stuff up. You know, go take that inside. I parked. We had a good parking spot too. We had drove around the parking lot 3 times trying to find. He's like,
Right.
okay. He said, I'm gonna pull the car around. You get in. Let's get your coat. We went back to the restaurant. The restaurant was closed.
Mm.
And I went to the door, and I was like, and they looked at me like, we're closed. And I was like, no, no, no. Like, come here. And they said, the door is open. They hadn't even locked it. I said, well, y'all are closed. It's 15 minutes. They said, it's okay. And they said, you left your coat in here, didn't you? I said, I did. And when I looked, he was standing behind me. He laughed. He said, yes, Stepper Jack, we came back to get it. And they said, oh, yeah, you know, you guys had a great time. We loved having you guys as patrons. Come back tomorrow. We having a special night, yada, yada, yada. We love to have you guys again. Oh, okay, thank you. And they discounted our drinks the following night. And gave me my coat. All was well. That was a moment for me. That was a moment of healing. And I was like, okay, because you had those triggers, right? And I was just like, oh. So when you have someone who has that level of, you know, of control and calm and everything. So, you know, we need to know that, you know, you can handle conflict, you can handle yourself, you can handle your attitude and everything. Even in the midst of all the conflict, you're not fine enough to handle. A person who has no emotional control is not a safe person. You finna get us into some stuff every time we leave the house. You know what I'm saying? You arguing with the waiter,
What
the
now?
waitress, you know, they ready to put us out every place we go. There's no rest in that. There's no rest in that, especially for a woman, but even for a man. You like, man, I can't take her nowhere. She popping off with everybody. And you know, I've
Right.
been in that position as the woman. I've been in that position where I'm like, I can't take him. We can't go nowhere. It's always something. And it's always everybody. So when you do have the opposite, where it's like, oh, okay, the calm there, the ability to make decisions calmly in the midst, you know, of conflict, in the midst of mistakes, says, I can come to you with a mistake, and I know you're not going to punish me for it. I know you still love me at the end of the day. You know I'm safe. I know I'm okay. I know I'm safe mentally, emotionally, physically. You can rest in that. That is a person you have no problem following. That's a person you have no problem being submissive to, saying, because I trust you. I trust
Right.
I trust your mind. I trust your thoughts. I trust your decision making. I trust your emotions. I trust your words. I trust everything that you got going on because you have control. Oh, I ain't worried about nothing. I ain't worried about a single solitary thing, you know, to the point where it's going to be detrimental to the relationship. Nope. I can rest in that. I know I can come to you with something is not good, and I know that we're good when things are great. Like, hey, everything is fine. But when things are not, there's no fear. You know, I've seen couples like that, male and female. With the male or the female, they would hide mistakes, and things would get worse because they're like, I feel like she finna scream and yell at me, so I made a mistake, and it was easier to hide the mistake than to tell them what happened. You
Right.
know, that happens. It happens with people. They just like, let me try to fix it or something, or they would just hide it. And at that point, you got to take a look in the mirror. Like, if they would rather lie to you, it's a good person, and you know that that's not what they do. They rather lie to you than tell you I made a mistake. You can't really call them a liar in that essence. Like, that's just who they are. You got to kind of look at yourself, because why are they scared of you? Men can be scared of women, and their reactions, and vice versa. It's not even a gender thing. That's the thing when it comes to a lack of emotional control and emotional
Right.
intelligence. So,
Right. I would tell women like this, I don't trust you with your emotions. I don't. I've seen what you've done.
mhm.
You know.
Yeah, I've seen you scream and yell at people in the street and do this, that, and other, and And so I'm normally the odd man out when I go out, like my female friends. I'm normally I'm the designated driver. I'm the calm. I'm the diffuser. I'm the watchman. I'm normally the one like this, because they know I'm the level head. Because they were like, Shereytah, you don't yell. No, I don't. They like, Shereytah, we ain't never seen you get mad. No, not really. And when I am mad, y'all don't even, you can't even take. And I was like, I was pissed yesterday. They like, you what? Really? We couldn't tell. What? So it's a running joke. When I get mad, everybody freezes. They're just like, oh, Shereytah's mad. Look. They start elbowing it. My friends have done it. Shereytah's mad. Look, because it's such a spectacle. Because it takes a lot, because I don't get,
Right.
because I don't get mad. And so no one really wants to be with the person who they cannot, have that safety in. And so when you talk about a person being able to, like I said, just kind of rest in you and have that security, have emotional security. They don't have it because you flying off the handle every 5 minutes about everything. They're not going to tell you anything. They're not going to be honest. They're not going to be transparent. That's something that you've created. So then in turn, you can't even blame them when you are exhibiting behavior that causes them to kind of take some steps back, and they evaluating whether they want to be here now.
Right.
Or some people will just stay, and they'll just like we talked about, codependency. They just want to acknowledge it. They'll just avoid things. They just, like I said, that they will make mistakes, won't say anything, hide financial, mess ups or what have you, because they are so afraid of the fallout.
Oh
And
yeah.
they will rather just cover it up and just, I hid it. So you gotta look in the mirror on it and say, what am I doing that's triggering them in a way where they feel like they can't talk to me about simple things? And it's like, well, are they simple things though? When you hear them, do you treat them as simple things? No, they don't. And so now, well, then can you blame them because they were scared to tell you this, that, and the
Right.
third?
Look how you showing up for them.
Yeah. You coming off the top rope, like WWF on them.
Jimmy
And
super class snooker, in the leopard printed drawers. You know what I'm saying?
so Yeah, no, it's just it's a thing. So like I said, I have the unique position to get perspective on so many people's lives and relationships. I was in people's unofficial counselor for years. Um and my 20s and everything. I was the only thing I say I'm missing. I just need a piece of paper. I just need the paper so I can get paid for it. But I
Right.
have been people's counselor, and I'm an observer, right? So human behavior is something that I study. So when I watch people, I'm the person, I listen and I don't judge. I've been that person.
Right.
I've been that person for decades. So I take in the information and I process it a little different than the average person. And we can break it down. So there's just so many facets to relationships and what makes them successful, and what makes them, work, and what makes them, be able to flourish. We're going to piss each other off every other day. That's okay.
Right.
As long as there's some resolve, some acknowledgement. And I always say, if it bothers you 24 hours later, say something. If you can
Absolutely.
sit in it, if you can sit in it and and it don't make a hill of beans tomorrow. Okay, leave it alone. But if it still bothers you tomorrow, put them to the side. Now, guess what? You slept on it. You're in a better place today. You're not reacting emotionally in that moment, and you can say, can I talk to you about something? Okay, yesterday, um, we went here, blah blah blah, and you did. You can acknowledge it. Then you're in a better headspace. They may feel a little weird, like, why you didn't say something yesterday? Sometimes you be like, I just saved you. You probably don't want me to have said something yesterday, right when it happened. I took a moment and I got my thoughts together to evaluate, is this me even misinterpreting something? Am I overreacting? Did I read that wrong? Was that big of a deal? Things like that. And tomorrow I'm gonna be like, you know what, that wasn't that serious. It was not that big a deal. But if tomorrow I say, you know what, nah, that wasn't cool. I'm saving you a little bit because I'm not gonna bite your head off. I could have did that yesterday and I did not. So you make a choice, to have some level of emotional control.
Absolutely.
Self-assess and evaluate, why did that make me feel the way it did? Is that something with me? Or was that really something that was an offense, a validated offense where I now need to bring that to you, not you did it on purpose, but I need to bring that to you because if I don't say anything, you may repeat the behavior because I didn't say anything. Let's talk about this in a better space. That's where you keep the emotional control. But the immediate, and you know what? And I can't believe it, such and such, it doesn't work. If it
No, it
did,
doesn't.
you wouldn't have so many, toxic relationships, and people just, you know, people keeping and having so many external negative things from this person, that person, that person, and it starts to build. And now you got a toxic person walking around because of all of the things that they've received that they've never acknowledged. And now they got bad behavior. And as they say, hurt people hurt people. Now they got bad behavior, and that's what they put out. They don't know how to communicate anymore. So
Absolutely right.
um,
You know what? That is fantastic. Listen, all we talked about tonight was a little bit of everything. You know what I
we're
mean?
living
We talked about mainly how to treat each other. We talked about making sure that you're healthy. You know what we didn't talk about? We didn't talk about the enhancements. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's a
The
whole nother show. We got to talk about that next week.
you know what? I really enjoyed you tonight, and you are always welcome to come back. I just wanted to give up the people an opportunity to let them know how they can find you. Put up your information if you don't mind. Is that okay with you?
Sure. Y'all see it on their contact information on the bottom, but you can always follow me on social media platforms. If you search the hashtag Intimacy Bay, I will pop up everywhere. That is my name on TikTok and Instagram. Okay, so the handle is Romance by Shereytah, though. My website is enhancemyromance.com. And my email info@enhancemyromance.com is there as well. If you have any questions regarding, relationships, what you have going on, or you want to talk sexual health and maybe, some intimate things where you have some questions, some curiosities, or some concerns, I'm your girl. Okay, you can always feel free to reach out, and we're going to get you together. You can do consultations with me. You can definitely come and hang out with me on social media. We have some wonderful, wonderful live streams where you guys get to come in and be really transparent and get the opportunity to, to learn some things that maybe you did not know before. So I did enjoy being here. I hope you guys learned some things and, we're able to take hold to, maybe some of the tips and things. Yeah, we got derailed a little bit, but that's okay. That's okay. It was good stuff. And yeah, so of course next time we'll talk more on the practical side, the products and things like that. We'll get more into the the intimate things, products, and yada yada yada. So hopefully y'all learn a little about the mental health, the sexual health, and all the things, and emotional, and you can use those going forward with yourself and your relationships.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming out. Most people call you coach. Some people call you Intimacy Bae. I usually just call you my friend. Thank you so much. And also they call you the cheat code too. I forgot to tell you about that.
Cheat code, Bae, and Intimacy Bae, and coach.
That's right. That's right. Appreciate y'all. Make sure you guys hit the like button. If you liked what you saw tonight, make sure you subscribed if you're new. Also, make sure you reach down in the comments and write down what you guys want to talk about next time. If you want to, if there's more information you want to know, just hit us up and let us know. Thank you guys for coming out to another edition of Black Men and Filters Bama Talk. Appreciate y'all for coming out. Thank you and good night.